least, we have Minister Rashidi Denson, who is with Feed the Fire globally and who works with HAC on our workforce development team. Minister Denson, talk to us, man. You're looking good, man. Minister Denson, you're muted. You're muted.
I am so excited. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited about being a part of this team and also being a part of the revolution, being a part of the foundation and the structure that the Haitian American Caucus has spawned across the U.S. and other countries. You guys are awesome. You guys have not made it one culture, but you have crossed over to many different cultures and said that we're going to teach everyone that they count, that they have a fight in them, and we're going to stand beside them and make sure that they get appreciated in everything that this land has to offer.
Wonderful, man. We're excited to have you. Thank you for that. And let's jump right into this panel. Me and Josh, I'm going to go with the first question and you will go with the second one. Sure. So Chef Claudie, Mark, and Rashidi. First question is Dr. King's dream dead? Is the dream dead? Have we achieved the dream? Is it over? Can everybody pack their bags and go home? Is racism over in America? Are we good? We driving fancy cars and we living in nice houses. Is it over? Are we good? I'm gonna go with Mark. Mark, I'm gonna go. Actually, no. I'm gonna go with Chef Claudie. I'm gonna go with you first. Mark second, and then Rashid third.
I'm gonna be brief. The dream is not dead. The thing about the dream, it's an evergreen dream. The thing is, it constantly has to evolve. We are way further than we were in a lot of ways, and we literally took some steps back from that point as well. So we constantly have to keep working on it. Doing panels like this and bringing people together, this is important that we keep it in the front of our minds, because a lot of times we put it in the back of our minds. But the dream included our kids, walking hand in hand. The dream included, having equal rights. The dream included us having liberation, freedom from a lot of the things that we had. And so as we are opening up some financial freedoms for one another and educational freedoms for another one, I truly believe that we have a lot of work to do. And part of the work is not just sweeping it under a rug and continuing to have these discussions, and from these discussions having action items to really push the movement forward, making an application, not just talking, but application.
Chef, real fast, tell us about that hat you got on, man.
This hat, man, is a hat that a good friend of mine has, man, and it uplifts a lot of different people with like scriptures and things of that nature, and it's one of the dopest, flyest hats. So I love wearing it. It's been really bringing it to me, and I'm gonna put the link right down in the chat, or we can post it as well.
Wonderful, man. I know you and I really need that kind of support right now, especially since our teams lost yesterday, the Cowboys and the Steelers, man. But that's neither here nor there. So we're gonna jump in. Mark, jump in, man. Like, how do you feel about the question, man, Mark?
No, I simply put, the dream is far from dead. Just this weekend, Dr. King's own children were marching in Phoenix to bring attention to the need to pass voting rights legislation, because at the very core of his messaging was the importance of that fundamental right. And it's important for us now to make those ties and honor what took place, but honor it appropriately by taking action today. And so I think the work being done around the country to provide access and protect the vote is among our most important needs and our commissions to honor Dr. King's legacy.
Well, listen,
wonderful, man. Pastor Rashidi, go ahead, man.
Listen, jumping right in. One of the things with any dream, the problems with dreams is reality. And we have to come to the realization that Dr. King didn't have that issue, because he aligned his dreams with reality. And so what we're seeing today is that Dr. King has created a structure. He set a foundation, And right now we are in a day and time in our society where we need to do some renovations. And it's okay to do renovations because every house needs a renovation. But long as the structure is good and long as the foundation is great,
Yes.
the structure can last forever.
You getting us excited, Pastor Rashidi, man. You listen, you got that Dr. King energy right there, man. We're ready to go with you. Josh, man, let's jump into the second question.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make it. Let me just add to what has been already said. I think this quote definitely encapsulate a lot of what was just said. You know, it's a quote from one of the Kennedy brothers with regards to the civil rights movement, and it says this: "For all those whose cares have been our concern, the work goes on, the cause endures, the hope still lives, and the dream shall never die." And a lot of what you guys said encapsulates that essence and that feeling that we are in a continuous struggle, especially as Black folk, where we can't let up and we have to keep things going. And so, Sam, I'm going to let you take the second question as well.
All right. So our second question to the panelists is, what would you say to Dr. King if he was here today? That's two-part. One, what would you say to the youth, to the young people, right? Today, what should they be doing to honor Dr. King? We'll go with you, Chef.
The number one thing is acknowledgement. So I think one of the biggest myths that I've seen is that, you know, he did it back then and it doesn't have relevance now.
Mm-hmm.
The acknowledgement is what I'm pushing for people to do. I truly believe that there's so many opportunities for us to bring up not just Dr. King, but a lot of the civil rights movement leaders, but continuing to put it in your face, continuing to challenge, you know, our oppressors, continue to remind them, like, you know, these are the things that they had to do in order to even get the liberties that we have right now, like you said, Mark, with voters suppression and things of that nature. But acknowledgement, continuing to acknowledge it. You're not getting this day off just to chill at the crib. You know, you're not getting this day off just to you know, get some extra cleaning done or you know what I mean, or chill out. This is actually a day of remembrance. So acknowledging it and like looking at the quotes, reading over the dream. And I would love for someone to definitely maybe post the dream, the actual speech, and maybe even someone, you know, quote a couple of lines from it before we go, because it's so powerful. And when you hear it, it's like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? So acknowledgement is one of the biggest things. And that from there should be some action. Like I'm going to keep saying that, you know, from the acknowledgement, application, and acknowledge, and really putting it to work.
Wonderful, wonderful, Chef. Thank you for that, man. Mark?
You know, I think Chef touched on something really important with acknowledgement and recognizing, you know, that how recently this all took place. You know, it's easy with, you know, not only, you know, the pace of life now, but the rate of acceleration over the last, you know, every decade, it feels like time starts moving faster and faster. And, you know, Emmett Till's cousins who helped raise him are still alive. You know, Dr. King would not be that old today. You know, his kids are still out in these streets. It didn't happen all that long ago. The work is far from finished. And, you know, John Meacham talks about this a lot. As you know, history can be really instructive. There's been a lot of different periods in time that have a lot of parallels, whether it was, you know, suffrage and the second rise of the KKK in the 20s, segregation, the civil rights movement today. You know, there's a lot of parallels in these moments. And I think keeping the dream alive, acknowledging what was done and understanding what wasn't successful in the past is our most important tool to continuing to fight for change going forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. Pastor Rashidi, it's on you.
You hit us with a two-part about what we would say to Dr. King and what we would say to our youth. And for us to be able to bridge that gap, I would definitely have a conversation with Dr. King, if I could today, about building character coaches. It's so important, right? I think that's really needed right now. Character coaches, where people are at behind the scenes. So what you do in your private life really lines up with your public life. And with our young people, really get them to understand how does that stay in alignment with character coaching. With our young people, and I think Chef Claude brought it out, is one of the things is mentorship is a big thing. And I would get them to understand that diamonds produced from coals have high levels of impurities. It's actually very low quality diamonds that's produced from coal. And so what I would get them to understand is that it's so important that is because you produce natural leadership does not mean that you can become a great leader if you avoid mentorship, if you avoid the opportunity to let someone who went before you to groom you and help you, motivate you, and also sharpen you and hold you accountable so that you can get out here and you can do what you was called to do and not let your purpose and your destiny go to waste.
Wow. Wow, that was powerful, man. And I think that's the kind of energy that we definitely need in our community today. Josh, I'm gonna throw something back at you, Josh. What do you think is the number one challenge that we're facing right now, man, as an African American diaspora community post, Dr. King passing the 1964 Voting Acts law? Like, what do you think is the number one challenge, and what can we do right now, right? Like, there's a lot of conversation around, oh, you can volunteer, you can do that. But what can we do right now, right, with the power that we have in our hands?
That's a very good question, because there are a lot of challenges that we still face as Black people within America and across the world. And there's so many things that are popping into my head, but I would say that the most immediate and pressing thing is making sure that Voting Rights Act gets passed, because what happens when things like that get stripped away is you make one step forward and two steps back. So with the failure over the past, I think almost 10 years now, to make sure that we have Voting Rights Act in place, you've seen a stripping away of voting rights in certain states across this country. And so we might be sitting here in New York and saying, like, well, I could go to the voting booth and just give them my name and I have the right to vote. But you have to remember that our success in this country as Black folk has not been about individuality. It's been about collectivism. And so when a brother down in South Carolina, Texas, or Louisiana or a sister is unable to cast their ballot and unable to have their voices heard and unable to add to that electoral college vote, it takes away from all of us. And so if there's anything that we need to do now is we need to pass that Voting Rights Act to ensure that the foundation of our rights to be part of the political process still exists, so that we can, as we said before, build on that going forward.
No, that's really deep. Chef Claudia, real quick, why do you think people are so apathetic about voting? And do you think that people post the Trump era are excited to come back and vote again?
I think that right now it's critical, right? So all of us should be sharing this post again, getting people to come in, re-sharing it, making sure they have it. Why? Because when I said acknowledgement, we got to use all of our social media. We got to use all of our platforms. We got to use influencer marketing. We got to really put it in front of people's faces, remind them of the decisions that happen from a legislative standpoint. So a lot of times people don't realize that you can protest all you want. If you are not putting in legislation, if you are not putting in a bill, if you are not getting laws passed, okay? How do you get laws passed? You have, the people on this panel, people in our family who are constantly working with us to understand the language that the legal system uses. It's not our language. It's like Mandarin, compared to Creole. So we got to learn how to speak Mandarin. So our people that are in the offices, like Josh, are literally learning Mandarin so they can put our laws in place. So now we have precedent. I'm saying all that to say, I may not be able to speak that language, but I am able to use my platform to highlight and vote for and put him in position to do so for me. That's his public servant job now. Now I'm also saying our pastors, our leaders, people need to step up. You can't tell me you got congregations of thousands of people. You can't tell me you got thousands of followers. You can't tell me you have all these things and you're not leveraging that to remind people this is the bad stuff that happened. This is how we can make it better. These are the people who are on our side. These are our allies, and leveraging all these things. So it doesn't mean we have to wait till November to vote. Voting starts today. Every single time you get on a platform, you talk to your community, you talk to your platform, you talk to your people, and put the messaging in there. So it's about messaging. It's about people buying in. And then, like, I use food. I feed thousands of people through my EAT initiative. Shout out to the EAT initiative team. I'm sure they're on the team. They're on everything that's going on right now. But guess what? We give messaging. We talk about voter registration and voter rights. We talk about why it's important to keep coming back. And every time we give you a meal, we're going to remind you. We don't care how annoying it is. We're going to remind you. You know what I mean? So I think that's the way that we really have to start to make a change is daily. Don't wait. And we got to start grooming our young politicians and young activists. Okay. And then we're teaching and educating. The best way to keep information from us is to put it in a book. We're not reading enough. We're not passing things along. We got to get back to those fundamentals. Like, we got to leverage our platforms and leverage all of our marketing opportunities that are a lot of times free. You know what I mean? So that's how I think that we're going to start to move this thing forward. And especially when it comes to, keeping the legacy going. But I think that's important.
Thank you so much, Chef. I think that was phenomenal. Mark, you had something you wanted to add too.
Yeah, just a quick note on voter apathy and sort of our responsibility in order to to keep things moving. In the middle 60s, when Americans were polled and asked if they fundamentally trusted that the federal government had their best interests in mind, roughly 76% of Americans believed that. Today, that number is down in the teens, around 15%. And a responsibility falls on all of us to, civically engage all the time, use our platforms. But I think there's a responsibility that comes back as well to those of us in the NGO advocacy activism space to really put the pressure on our elected officials from City Hall to the Beltway to say, look, we have had a run now for about 15 years of disengaged, non-functional Congresses, and that has trickled down to the State House and into the city halls and county offices. And it's time for us as engaged citizens to reach out into our own communities, our homes, our workplaces, our social circles, and convey a message to our elected officials that, look, if you don't fight for this change, you're fired. And it's that simple.
You're out. Get them out of there. And have, make sure that they know that, like, you're not going to just keep doing this,
Yeah. Healthcare, education, housing, these are the cornerstones, and education is the silver bullet. And we have fallen so drastically behind our peers in the rest of the world. It's time to stop serving profit and get back to serving our people.
Mark, can I ask, so when you say we've dropped in education, does that mean across the board in the United States, or how is it looking specifically within Black communities?
No, obviously, poverty impacts the Black community at a higher rate than any other community in the United States. Education goes hand in hand with that, as our old structure for funding the Department of Education has always been linked to property taxes, which is incredibly racist and naturally disadvantages Black and brown communities, immigrant communities, underprivileged communities broadly. So it's time, for me, it's tough because it's, how do you eat an elephant but one bite at a time? There's a lot of elements to this, but the simplest part is twofold. It's tax policy, monetary policy, getting corporations and billionaires to pay their share and help fight some of this income inequality that is at historic robber baron pre-depression levels. And then the other component to that is restructuring the Department of Education so that it's not anchored in property taxes, because, you know, as we at HAC, you know, this is sort of the anchor of our mission in Haiti, is that everything starts with education. It's the silver bullet, and it's one of the greatest predictors to long-term economic growth and success is the success that you as a nation have in educating your children. We're failing our kids.
And I have a question for Dr. Denson, but before I do, talking about corporate responsibility, shout out to Lyft, who is actually providing free rides to a lot of our volunteers who are going out there today to do different types of community work and engage community members. Now, Dr. Denson, we just talked about the responsibility of government, etc. But one of the major forces, and I would say maybe the most powerful force in our communities, is the church. Am I right? And so what is the responsibility that the church still has in mobilizing and getting our folks to do what needs to be done?
Josh, you didn't have to take the pressure off of you as a politician, brother, and throw it onto the church. We understand, you know what I mean? Like, everybody got their piece. But go ahead.
Well, Sam, listen. Chef sent it out the kitchen. He's like, listen, if you can't stand the heat, get up out my kitchen right now.
Get out the kitchen.
So he sent it. You know, I was listening to Chef Claude started out, and Mark and everybody just say what they say. And as you pose the question back to me, yes, we know that the church is a huge platform. You know why the church is a huge platform? Because the church is not brick and mortar. The church is a living organism. The church is people. And so with the opportunity, if we want to revert this back to Dr. King, one of the most famous speeches Dr. King did was, I've been on a mountaintop. And I believe that was about April 3rd, 1968. And in that particular speech, he actually correlated the Bible, which was Luke 10, around the 25 to 37 verses. And he talked about the Good Samaritan. And he got us back to understand that the big piece, and going back to the church, is that the Good Samaritan was not so much concerned about what would happen to him as much as he was concerned about what would happen to the people. And when I examined that particular text from Dr. King's perspective, I went back and read it myself as a pastor, as a voice in the community, as an individual who move people, who people actually listen to, who I can say something and they're going to follow what I say. That's why it's important that my character be intact, because I may say something, they may follow it. And so when I look back at that text, I noticed something. Dr. King said, I've been to the mountaintop. And I said, that's the key to his message, was that he was there already. He saw something. And so when I looked at that particular story, I noticed, I said to myself, wait a minute, who finds somebody dead on the side, half dead on the side of a road and attends to them? Who would do that? Only the person that would do that and risk their life is somebody who's been there before, who's been left before, who's been left out there. And guess what? When you've been left out there and you got an opportunity to rise back up and get back up, you walk around with a first aid kit in your backpack. You're always looking to give somebody some healing balm. You're always looking to help them out. And so what I realize is that I got to call out from the standpoint, but not just calling out my brother or sister down the block who just got a church. What I got to do is use my voice, use my God-given gift. Before I went to school, before I got a degree, before I met 20 different high-level mentors, is utilize this gift, this voice that God put inside me. And that voice says, listen, you have a responsibility to get up out your bed and awaken people and help people arise and get on their posts and get with individuals like Chef Claude, get with individuals like you, get with individuals like Sam, and not let it be about you and Mark, but go out there and be the Good Samaritan. Forget about you and think about somebody else.
And I'm saying, I know we jumped in right. Sam, I know we jump into the keynote, but when you said that and you're saying carry around a first aid kit, one of the things that we all have in common, I don't care if you're black, white, and it's a shameless plug, but it's eating, it's food.
Yes.
It's sharing, it's breaking bread. So what happens is you could use something as little as giving food or making sure these students eat properly. These are the things, even though I know we said housing, we said, voter rights, things of that nature, we always kind of forget one of the main things. You can't do any of that stuff without having access to fresh produce and food. So I do want us to follow that lead and really understand, like, that's a big part of why our communities are suffering, making sure we have access to fresh produce and food and feeding their soul, but feeding their physical so that they can have sustenance as well. But I can't thank you guys enough. I'm not going to lie to you. You really got me fired up. And I'm gonna have to go do something. I'm gonna go work out.
You right, Chef Claude. Listen, I can't just walk around with a first aid kit. I got to make sure I got some apples, oranges.
That's
because
right.
Guess what? With food, when someone is hungry, if you feed them, they will listen.
Exactly.
Listen, man.
We got to examine what we feeding people.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. No, that's great. I mean, gentlemen, I can't thank you guys enough for joining this panel. I think we're ready for MLK Day today. We kicked it off with some fire. Dr. Denson got us going. Mark got us going with the data. And Chef, you got any food for us, man? The way you was talking, man.
I got a Instacart is coming to everybody that's listening. I'm joking.
There you go, man. So thank you so much, gentlemen, on the men's panel. Again, if you guys would like to join the Haitian American Caucus, please join us at HAC Global, HACglobal.org/join. So you can join us, so you can become a member today, be a part of all the work that we're doing, and we're really, really excited. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Denson. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much, Chef Claude. And of course, Josh Pierre, thank you so much for being for being my co-host or co-moderator here today. And we're going to keep this going. All right. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So we're going to introduce our keynote, our men's panel keynote, a gentleman who needs no introduction. He is the most senior elected official senator in the Senate chamber of New York State. He is the chairman of the Telecommunications and Energy Committee. I believe he's still the majority whip, and all the 75,000 other titles that come with him. He is our shining light. When people talk about policy and legislation, nobody knows policy better than Senator Kevin Parker. Nobody writes policy better than Senator Kevin Parker, and he knows how to bring resources back to the community. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to some, and for all who already know him, your New York State Senator Kevin Parker.
Thanks a lot, Josh. Sam.
Wow.
Sam, thank you so much.
I'm the handsome Pierre.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We're gonna have to get you out on the road so you can just walk around and introduce me at places. I think that'll be a good move for you. In fact, is that one of my resolutions you got behind you? It looks like it.
That is actually. That's your resolution that you got. That's right there. You got me in your
resolution, but yes,
you got me in the New York State history. I'm in New York State history because of this man right here, right behind me. Everybody, take a look. Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome. So let me just say good morning to you. And again, thank you very much for that generous introduction. I am State Senator Kevin Parker. I do represent the 21st District in Brooklyn, which is part of Canarsie and part of Flatlands, but principally Flatbush and East Flatbush, Midwood, Ditmas Park, Windsor Terrace, and Park Slope. I'm the majority whip, as you heard, in the New York State Senate, as well as the chairman of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee. And yes, as Sam indicated, I'm the actually most senior African-American member of the New York State Senate, fourth most senior member of the entire body. It's really been an honor and a pleasure to represent my community and to have them trust me for so many years. And for a number of years, I've really have used King Day as a kind of jumping off point, really the beginning of my day, because the legislative session in the state of New York goes from the first week in January to about the third week in June. So between January and June, I'm spending most of my time in Albany with my colleagues, addressing all of the issues of education, housing, healthcare, public protection, transportation, climate change, all of the things that are important for our community and our state. But I've used this day really as a time to reimmerse myself in Dr. King's dream and Dr. King's legacy and his life. And so usually this week I pick up something and read it by Dr. King. I try to find one of his speeches. One of my favorite things is a letter from a Birmingham jail. And it really speaks to me in part because it is him not talking to his detractors, but actually him talking to the people who are supposed to be supporting him. Other pastors, other people in the Christian cause, other people in the civil rights community who he feels are not being as supportive as they probably should be at the time. And so it also reminds me, because it is a letter from a Birmingham jail. Dr. King in this moment is literally in jail, literally confined, literally an enemy of the state, and literally a public enemy, right? And when we talk about particularly the Christian journey, you see Dr. King taking the same steps as Christ, right? So when we read the story of Jesus, of Yeshua HaMashiach, we see a story of somebody who is not just transcendent because of them being the Son of God, but also here on earth, somebody who is essentially a political enemy of the state, essentially, in part because he is proclaiming a doctrine that is different than what the Roman government would have people believe. And so he stands up, speaking truth to power, stands up against tyranny, stands up against oppression. And he literally, right, heals the sick, feeds the multitudes, right? And brings hope to people, right? A little bit what you saw again, people talking about the men talking about in the men's panel, right? Is again this idea that the liberation of our folks must begin with a physical liberation, right? And I think you saw both Christ do that in the biblical context, and you also see King do that in the civil rights context, right? Of going around to places in the South and start addressing the issues of communities. I think in the current context was interesting. See, being 54, I actually was born right as King was assassinated. And so I think that a lot of my life was kind of connected to that King legacy. And I think the further away that we get from it, the less connected the generations behind mine are from King and who Dr. King was. And so it then just becomes a day off. You go shopping at Macy's and start buying, they have a white sale on Dr. King Day, right? Which is how insulting is that, right? And so it becomes a day off as opposed to a day on. And right. And so, this really, a lot of folks have really posed it in the right way as a day of service. We should be using this day as a day to kick off service, as in honor of Dr. King and his legacy, because his legacy was about service. Dr. King didn't take any days off. Dr. King was always on that trail. And Dr. King was also somebody, as an exemplar, who put himself in the breach. And I talk about that legacy and not understanding it because America is a very different place with all the problems that we have now, with the issues of labor market discriminations, with the issues that we still dealing with around redlining, around foreclosures in our community, as we deal with police reform and the need for police reform in our communities, for non-police response to mental health and emergency responses, as we look at in New York City, Rikers Island being the largest mental health facility in the entire country, and the fact that people are being criminalized just because of their mental health status. There's still so much work to be done. But we also have to understand the connection between the things that Dr. King started from and where we are now. And so as bad as things are now, they're lots better than they were in his moment, right? And I think that people don't understand how brave it was for him and what an act of courage it was for Dr. King to be stepping out in places in southern jurisdictions and start getting arrested and to openly oppose the law, openly speak truth to power, and then wind up in jail. There was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, right? No Snapchat. There was nobody in the moment saying, look at what they're doing to our civil rights leaders, right? And that would have given him a level of protection that he didn't have in that moment. In 1950s, 1960s, you had none of that. So when you go into jail and these white policemen are beating you and taking you and your compatriots off to jail, you didn't know what was going to happen to you, right, at that moment. And the history is riddled with people who went to jail and never came out. And so the act of defiance in those southern small towns where you are opposing the law to expand civil rights for African Americans and thus others was really a level of bravery that we have not seen in decades. Nobody who is engaged in civil rights work is taking on that level of danger. And yes, they get death threats and those kinds of things, but it's not the same kind of present danger behind closed doors, because again, there was nobody to see it. Now you have a protest, there's 50,000 people with cameras, and you know, if a cop looks at you wrong, you know, you got it on tape. There was none of that in that moment. And so that idea that Dr. King is writing from a Birmingham jail, and even at that moment, he is less concerned with the police who are menacing him and have him in prison than he is with the specter of his comrades who are supposed to be with him, fighting with him, and really telling him he's going too far. And that was the kind of support that I think Dr. King missed. And so in this moment, we should be recommitting ourselves, and this is what I pledge to do for myself, is to recommit myself to be more audacious, to be bolder, to be more on the front lines, to really put ourselves in the breach, to speak truth to power, to make sure that the things that we need to do for our people, all right, in terms of taking them to full and utter liberation in this country, will actually get done. And we should remember that Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech wasn't really about a dream. It really was about bringing a check to Washington around justice that had been unfulfilled. And so in the moment, we stand here fighting for justice. And if we're going to remember Dr. King and honor his legacy in every single moment, in every act that we do, in every breath that we take, we should be doing those things towards justice. And so I want to thank the Haitian American Alliance and Sam Pierre and everybody who in their own communities continue to fight for justice, for seeing me as a partner, continue to work together, because it's only together that we're going to get this done. But as I wrap up, Sam, let me just say, we can only do this together, and we are the people who were here the day before yesterday, and we're going to be the people who are going to be here the day after tomorrow. So all of us must continue to bring good into the world and let no good be lost. God bless you all, and have a happy, healthy, prosperous new year and a great day of service on Dr. King's birthday.
Wow, man, that's phenomenal. Let's all give a huge round of applause to our great State Senator Kevin Parker and his phenomenal keynote. Senator Parker, we appreciate you. We look forward to working with you. The Haitian American Caucus looks forward to building and to doing more work with you. We have a meeting coming up, and we look forward to sitting down and figuring out how we can work together to make impact in our community.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Wow. Oh, man, today is really, really, really looking good. MLK Day. We had some great conversations. Once again, give it up for State Senator Kevin Parker. Wow. Phenomenal work. Senator Parker has done so much in our community. He has stood behind so many, Haitian advocates, right? Haitian American leaders, behind the scenes, really pushing buttons to make sure that we are successful. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. Again, to a real quick commercial, if you are looking to volunteer today, Lyft does not want you to have to pay to go volunteer. So Lyft, who is one of our corporate sponsors, Lyft is giving free rides to our volunteers. If you are interested, Lyft is providing free ride codes for our MLK Day of Service. For more information, email us at info@hacus.org. So email us at info@hacus.org with your proof of registration or participation, and you will get an MLK volunteer Lyft code. It's a $25 Lyft code that Lyft is providing for our MLK Day today. So we're looking forward to seeing how you was able to go out there and participate. Once again, my name is Sam Pierre. I'm the Executive Director of the Haitian American Caucus, and I'm so excited to be your host here for our MLK virtual day. Before we move on to the next panelist, I would please, if you have not joined HAC yet, please go to hacglobal.org/join. Right on top of me over here. Become a member today. Be a part of all the amazing work that we're doing in the community. This year, we are going hard. We're taking it to another level. We're going to do a lot of volunteer events And we need your help. We need your support in order for us to move this mission forward. So once again, join HAC, hacglobal.org/join, and become a member today. So next up, we got the women. It's Ladies Day, Ladies Night, Ladies Day. Okay. We're bringing the ladies up. It's time for the ladies. I'm going to bring our moderator up onto the screen, Miss Naomi Bellany. Give it up for Naomi Bellany, everybody.
Thank you very much. Hello, Samuel. How are you?
I am well. Naomi Bellany. A lot of people say we look alike. I don't see it, but you know, it is what it is. How do you feel about MLK?
Obviously, one of us looks better than the other.
Yeah. What's interesting is you started growing up wearing glasses, and I used to call you Four Eyes, and now you don't have glasses, and I have glasses on. So, yeah.
My glasses are here. I have contacts on.
I'm sure Four Eyes. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, we're really excited. We have a phenomenal, amazing women's panel coming up. I'm going to hand the baton over to my big and much older sister, Naomi Bellany, who's going to take it away and take us to the women's panel. Thank you so much, Naomi, for joining us on MLK Day.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here and to moderate today's panel. It is really, truly an honor to actually do this work on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday. This day means a lot to me, and so I really am happy to do this today. So before we go into the panel, I would like to introduce someone who I have known for a very, very, very long time. I've seen her grow into a phenomenal woman, and she is now the first generation Brooklynite. She was raised in an immigrant and pro-union household. And that experience and everything that I've watched her and seen her do, it's propelled her into advocacy, community organizing, and ultimately a career in public service. She is the proud first Haitian American City Councilwoman in Brooklyn, and she's also the former co-chair of the Women's Caucus. And also she is a woman who has just a wonderful heart, and I love her dearly. And so I would love to introduce Councilwoman Farah Lewis. Hi, Farah.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
I'm still trying to get used to streaming.
I am wonderful. How are you on this wonderful historic day today?
Yeah, happy MLK Day to you, Naomi, and to everyone that's watching. Really grateful to be here today and to see 2022. So also happy New Year to everyone. And I'm happy to see you moderating. You know, you're all in your glory right now. I'm very happy.
This is my sweet spot. So as you know, the conversation so far that the men have been talking about is legacy and MLK Day and what we should be doing and everything. So can you just express some of your thoughts that you have surrounding this day and how women can be more involved in what this day means to you?
So I definitely have, I think, the executive director, chair, I'm not sure what role Sam is playing right now. I know he definitely wanted me to highlight some things that I will at the appropriate time. And I would say for me, MLK Day is an opportunity for us to reflect, as Senator Parker mentioned earlier, but it's also an opportunity for us to re-engage ourselves to the understanding of truth to power, and finding a way to collectively work together to address issues in our community. I think for some people, it's a day of civic engagement. For some people, it's a day off. And for others, it's an opportunity to galvanize, to say, how do we take on this year to address issues happening in our community, whether it be food insecurity, poverty, access to mental health services. And I hope our community that's watching today and everybody that's listening, take some time this week, work with organizations like Ede Youth, M&M Angels, who are doing phenomenal work for young people, because youth justice is another thing that's not talked about making sure we're creating spaces for young people. Take time this week to meet with folks and see what we could get on the agenda to approach our elected officials and see what could be done legislatively.
No, absolutely. I absolutely love it. And as you mentioned, I know Sam did mention that you have some comments that you would love to share. So we would love to hear any comments or thoughts or additional guidance that you would love to share with all of us today.
Okay, and I'm trying to figure, is this the panel part now?
This is
no.
This is all you right now. This is all you right now.
All right. Well, so first, I just want to thank you, Naomi, for moderating today and taking the time to work with Haitian American Caucus. And I just want to thank M&M Angels, Ede Youth, HAC, Lyft, who is a major sponsor for nonprofits in our communities, Black and Brown communities, and always supporting us in any way that they can. I want to thank you all for hosting today's event. I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to see you all paying tribute to the late, great Martin Luther King Jr. I'm Council Member Farah Lewis. I represent Council District 45. I'm also the VP co-chair of the BLAC in the New York City Council. And while I'm only going to be briefly here, I'm really honored to join you all today and want to just quickly discuss with you all, and I think Senator Parker already hit some of these points, the life, legacy, and mission of Dr. Martin Luther King, but I want to challenge you all to also pursue lasting change. And what do I mean by that? Take an extra step. We are so focused on events, personal agendas. Let's be honest with one another. We lose focus on the bigger picture and creating the next steps to making Dr. Martin Luther King's dream a reality, which should also be part of our dream. We've come a long way since Dr. King climbed the steps of the Lincoln Memorial to deliver his I Have a Dream speech. And I often wonder if Dr. Martin Luther King were here today and returned to Earth for one day, if God allowed it, would he be moved? Would he be moved by the first Black president, Barack Obama? Would he be moved by Kamala Harris being the first Black woman VP? Would he be relieved by the verdicts and cases of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery's murders? Would he care that they put the first Black person on currency, Maya Angelou? I think he might be marveled by some of it, but I think he'll also be dismayed. And the reason why I say that is because the rise of Donald Trump and hate in our community. I think he'll be dismayed to see Black and Brown people not having access to jobs, living in poverty, or simply dying in our communities because of gun violence. I think he would say, this is not enough. We're not doing enough. So as I shared earlier, I think it's a day for us to recommit ourselves to the struggle for equality. And there's different ways to do that. Dr. King understood the issue of poverty and income inequality, and that these things were central in our fight for racial justice and civil rights. So what we could do from here is speak truth to power. We have the power to turn this dream into reality. And some ways we could do that. Refrain from lip service to justice and actually fight to make it reality. We talk about it, but we're not about it. So we need to start putting that into action. If we say we're going to do something, we need to do it. I would also share with you all that we should not allow anyone to gaslight Black and Brown people. Don't allow elected officials, don't allow lobbyists, don't allow racists to sell out our communities for a buck, for $1, for some change. We have to change that narrative. We have to ensure that they're prioritizing Black and Brown people in our communities, particularly the underserved communities. We should refrain from the mistreatment of Black women and Black girls. There were over 70,000 Black girls missing in 2019, it was reported. The pandemic hit in 2020. That whole conversation went away. Some of these young Black girls lived in East New York, lived in East Flatbush, and all around the country. And we're not having the conversation. I have 2 bills in the city council about human trafficking and reporting it. And it's because I'm a Black girl. I was raised in an underserved community. If I ended up missing, if I was 5, 6, 10 years old, who would come looking for me? And why don't we care? That's injustice. So we have to really, really, really work hard to dismantle any mistreatment of Black women in any facet of the word of mistreatment. We have to refrain from grandstanding and theatrics for an applause, to change that to combating issues in our backyard. We have something in New York City called crisis management. And we have organizations that we fund to provide services in our community to dismantle any kind of issue happening between young people, but it's also a way for us to support young people to avoid turning into potential members of gangs or potentially becoming on either side of a gun. I say all this because we need organizations like Haitian American Caucus, M&M Angels, Ede Youth to help us with our young people. If we're so focused on our own agendas and we don't care about our young people, we will lose them. And when we lose them, we lose us. So it's high time that we come together to find ways to support our young people. We cannot depend on our crisis management system to do the work alone. It takes the churches and the youth leaders and the pastors. It takes the everyday folks to come together to lend a helping hand to our young people, particularly our Black girls, letting them know there's opportunities out there for them and giving them an opportunity to grow. We see Morgan Theogene doing great work with M&M Angels. We need to raise up more young people to do that kind of work. And last but not least, help address income inequality in our communities by partnering with elected officials like myself. On the screen, you see behind me a group of young people, but particularly organizations from our communities that came together to help us to organize a Juneteenth rally that we have every year. This year will be our third annual Juneteenth rally. And it's a way for us to help young people to express themselves and understand what Black liberation is and why that's important and why they have to carry the change. Because at some point, I'm going to pass away and I have to pass the torch. We have to help support our young people to understand what advocacy looks like. So I'm hoping Haitian American Caucus, maybe Sam wants to partner with me, I don't know, but M&M Angels, Ede Youth, and we'll all come together and support this movement that I believe that God gave me to support our young people to understand what it means to be Black in America. And definitely that's not enough, but we also need the support legislatively. If you have any good legislative ideas that you could give to electeds like myself for us to present to support our communities, I think this is the opportunity to do so. So I'll end by saying, you know, Dr. King gave his life for a better world. And now more than ever, we have the power to turn the dream into reality. And that's through our actions. And it's about time that we start giving to one another and start supporting and partnering with one another. And I hope you all have a meaningful day, a reflective day, and a positive day.
Thank Councilmember Lewis. We want to thank you for your keynote. And yes, HAC can't wait to partner with you. We actually have tons of programs that we're looking to work with your office around all this, especially the Juneteenth and especially our workforce development program. So we look forward to partnering with you and your office. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much, Naomi, for hosting us. Thank you, Councilmember Lewis, for your time. We know all the work that you do. We know how busy you are. So we look forward. Any last words, Councilmember Lewis?
No, just want to thank you for the opportunity to join you all today. I think you all have been doing phenomenal work. So God bless. Enjoy your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We look forward to having Councilmember Lewis leverage her funding, her access to help the Haitian American Caucus grow. So, Naomi, it is back to you and the women's panel. Let's go.
Thank you. Yes, that was a wonderful, wonderful comments by Councilwoman Farah. And now I'd love to bring in the panelists so we can start our wonderful discussion. All right. Yes. This I love this panelist right here. I love this. So first off, I'd like to say thank you all for agreeing and for volunteering your time to be part of this panelist discussion today. Nadia, it's wonderful to see you. And Naomi, it's wonderful to have you on. I mean, Nadia, this is your lucky day. You got 2 Naomis on here, okay? It can't get any better than this. And Bart, wait, what's going on? Well, anyways, so I'd like to get this conversation started. But first, I'd like to mention that, usually during MLK Day, I always watch a Dr. King documentary, and now I do it with my kids as well. So there's a really good documentary that's on YouTube right now. It's called King in the Wilderness, and it's really insightful. It talks about the last year and a half of Dr. King's life and everything that he's experienced. Hi, Peggy. Thank you for joining us. Yes. And it always brings me back to his legacy and what it is that we should be doing. So when you think, well, first off, before I even go to the first question, can I have each of you introducing yourself? Let's start with Naomi and then Peggy.
Sure. Thank you all. Thank you, HAC, for having us, and thank you, Naomi, for moderating. I think this is probably going to be the best panel regardless because there are 2 of us here. So like Naomi said, my name is Naomi Ritter. I am the Director of Marketing for the E.A.T Initiative, and I'm in Pittsburgh, PA.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peggy Denson. I am one of the co-founders of PMD Advanced Consultant, and I am a lifelong member of HAC. Amen. And I'm really excited to be here. And just like you guys said, 2 Naomis on here, there's something definitely brewing.
Listen, it's gonna be fire, So the one thing with Black women, right, is that we are honest. We are always virtually honest, and we will keep it real no matter what. So are you guys ready to just keep it real and just give all of your personal experiences? Are we good to go?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do this. So now when you think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., how has his work and his legacy impacted you in your personal life, in your personal mission? And before you answer that, let me have Martha Aon. Wonderful to have you on. Can you please briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Martha Aon. I'm the founder of Azul Public Solutions, a women-owned company based out of Queens.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you so very much for joining us in our panel today. And as I said, we're going to be honest and we're going to be open in this discussion. So what I'll do is I will send the first question to Naomi that I just asked. Can you just talk to me about how Dr. King's work and legacy impacted you in your personal life's mission?
Sure. Thank you for asking that. Dr. King's legacy has definitely impacted my life just because his fearlessness and the way he was able to speak on behalf of so many people and work tirelessly to make sure that we all had access to equal rights. But really, the part of his legacy that really stood out to me the most was the moments when he realized that, maybe he needed to change his position, or maybe he needed to redirect what he was saying, because maybe what he was saying wasn't the best advice for us as the people. I think that's interesting because it shows that as leaders and as advocates, we're allowed to change our opinions. We're allowed to have a new understanding whenever we learn new information. And so specifically, I'm talking about how after the I Have a Dream speech, he wanted to really preach about economic freedom. This was right before he was murdered or assassinated. And so that part of his legacy has really stayed with me now as an adult, whereas when I was younger and I was in school, we're learning that I Have a Dream speech. But really just the commitment to economic freedom within the Black community is really the commitment to making sure that we are self-aware and that we're fearless is really how he has truly impacted me throughout my life.
Thank you very much. Peggy, what are your thoughts of Dr. King's impact on your personal life and mission?
Wow. Well, that is such a loaded question, because when we think about Martin Luther King and the things that he had did, he was such a trailblazer. But one of the things, as I reflect, as I have been impacted, is the fact that not only um was he an advocate for our community, but he understood the risk that it took in order to be able to spread this message around. He understood that he had to be willing to die for this passion, for this dream. And it was such a passion and a dream that was so bigger than himself. So for me, when I think about how that has impacted my life, is it makes me reflect and think about, what am I passionate about? What is bigger than me that I need to begin to advocate for as a people? And am I passionate about it to the point of depth? So if anything, as I reflect on this day, it makes me aware and realize that a lot of the things that we are fighting for it's so essential in our community. And it takes everyday people like you and I to be able to stand up and share our truth and empower people at any cost necessary.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Martha, what do you have to add to that in terms of how Dr. King's legacy and impact, what that has on your personal life's mission?
I I don't want to repeat, because everything that Naomi and Peggy said was resonating, and also Councilmember Lewis. But for me, as a first generation American, I stand on the shoulders of the African American movement, and I'm extremely aware of my family leaving a not segregated country to come to this country, and having the privileges and the rights that were fought for decades, hundreds of years, by African Americans. And his legacy is reflected through me, in the sense of just not only criminal justice reform and also fighting for Black Lives Matter, but also, what is our legacy for ourselves and what we're looking to leave behind.
I love it. I love it. So let's go on to the next question. And this one, I'm going to put just a little spin on it, right? So the question was, whether or not we believe that Black women in this generation are serious about social justice and the real work it takes to fight for a generation, right? And so the spin that I would like to put on it is, I have an 8-year-old son who I'm already having to have those talks that we know that we need to talk about with him, right? There was one day where he asked me a very poignant question out of the blue, whether or not police like Black people, right? And he's 8 years old, and it was a very innocent question from his standpoint, but for me, oh my God, I almost cried, right? So the way I would twist this question is, I know that Black women in this generation are serious about social justice and the real work that it takes already to fight for a generation. Like, I know that all of us on this panel right here and those people who are watching are serious. But my question would be from a generational standpoint. How do you see yourself supporting young Black boys or grown Black men in encouraging them to continue to fight for social justice, to fight for everything that Dr. King stood for, even when their backs are against the walls and everything that they have going on? And I'll start off with Martha.
For me personally, I've done a lot of organizing in different spaces, whether it be for raising the wage or Black Lives Matter. And I try to be cognizant of not only bringing in what they call themselves the Zoomer generation, but also creating a safe space for them, because unfortunately, a lot of the spaces are led by white people. And just making sure that they feel heard, protected, and that they are put forth and put in front, versus being used as a token and or face of the movement, and that they are the ones creating the ideas, leading the conversation, and fighting and pushing back in that sense. Because white supremacy exists not only in the regular spaces that we're in, but also in even progressive spaces, and just making sure that we're protecting our next generation and that they have a voice.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Naomi, what do you have to add to that in terms of how we talk and support our young Black boys or Black men?
So there's an organization here in Pittsburgh called the Young Black Motivated Kings and Queens. They're a nonprofit organization that really sort of is like the younger advocate. So I'm listening to Councilwoman Farah Lewis talking about M&M Angels and all the work that you guys are doing in New York. And I'm thinking about how that applies to the work that we're doing in Pittsburgh. A lot of our organizations, we try to have that mentorship aspect with the younger people who want to motivate, with the younger people who want to organize. And we also see how sometimes there is that sort of uneven distribution of responsibilities when you are talking about having young men and young women. How we always know that the young women, we find ourselves doing certain work and the men find themselves on other work. I definitely can resonate with that now in understanding how that could have been a little bit more problematic during the civil rights era with such a monumentous task that they had. Saying all that to say, really just leaning into partnership, leaning into trust and understanding and trying to work together, and also seeing how young people advocate. They advocate differently from us. They are really the TikTok and the Instagram generation, but they also want to learn and they want to, share the information, but they share it differently. So really, I think through collaboration is probably the best way. You know what I mean? Just making sure that they have the approach, and then us who are the more seasoned have the content for them, and just trying to find ways to work together in that, because they'll make a TikTok video using the same messages that we're using and it'll go viral, and that's just helping us to sort of share some of the responsibility. So I hope that answered the question. I feel like that was kind of long.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, that was a great answer to the question. And before I go to Peggy, to those of you who are watching, if you have any questions that you would love to ask our esteemed panelists, please put them in the comments and I will be sure to ask them. So Peggy, the question goes to you. How do you see yourself supporting the younger Black boys and our Black men in fighting for our causes?
Well, I just want to begin by just giving, some props over to the hundreds and thousands of Black women that have always been supporting our Black males, whether that has been in a role as a mother, whether that has been a role as a sister, boss, whatever your role has been. And I know in particularly, especially in ministry, especially in church, at Feed the Fire Global Ministry, which is a ministry that I'm a part of, we actually have a group called The Next Generation, where we actually focus on our young Black males in particular, because we understand the urgency of us making sure that not only are we educating them through spiritual growth, but also educating them in the ways that society will sometime attack them, the way that society will sometimes tell them that they're not worth it, encouraging them, making them understand that even though that they may appear to be a threat, that is far from the truth. And I think that is very crucial, that being able to do the groundwork by empowering our young Black males who are constantly being oppressed, that are constantly being targeted, that are constantly just not succeeding in life just because of the color of the skin. And this is why I'm so excited to be a part of Feed the Fire Global Ministry. We also partner up with organizations such as HACT. We also partner up with organizations such as FCA, where we're able to have sports implemented into our program, where we're able to reach more than just the ministry people, but we're going outside of the doors and we are actually reaching people from different denomination, people from different and various religious background, because it is important, because we're all united, because we have one thing in common, and that is our Black males, and we will protect them at any cost.
Yes, we sure will. We sure will. And speaking of protection, right? Wow. There's a question that's right here. about whether or not we would encourage our sons, brothers, boyfriends, and husbands to die for the social justice causes, like Dr. King. That is a loaded question, right? I have brothers, I have a son, I have a husband. I mean, selfishly, no way. Y'all not dying. I need you guys, right? But at the end of the day, if it's a message that needs to be sent, I mean, think of everything that's being done now because of deaths, like Ahmaud Arbery, Eric Gardner, and everything like that. That's a really loaded question. So I'll start off with Naomi. Would you encourage your sons, your brothers, boyfriends to die for the social justice causes like Dr. King? What are your thoughts on that?
I think when you ask someone, would you encourage them to? I would encourage someone to I guess the answer would be yes. I would encourage someone to die for what they believe in. I absolutely would. And I don't really know about the word encourage because it sounds kind of like that's the goal. But I definitely understand the purpose of the question.
Yeah, that is not the goal, not one bit. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like the wording, but yes, I definitely would, because that's important. That's how you know that you're serious, and that's how you really start to teach the young people behind you what to do, and what to do next. It's really important that we are willing to stand and live and die for the things that we believe in. And I want to speak truth to power with that, because we cannot just only be temporary or only be seasonal advocates. We need to do this year round, and the young people behind us need to see, no, they were serious. This is how you exemplify being serious about the work that you're doing. I saw my mom do it. I saw, my grandmother do it, or whomever. And it just sort of helps to give them a playbook for what's next. So yeah, I definitely would say you should always be prepared to die for the things that you believe in and that you stand on.
Absolutely. And before I go to Martha for her response, in the documentary that I mentioned earlier, King in the Wilderness, I remember there was a part that mentioned that Dr. King at one point, like he had like a twitch, like an involuntary twitch. And when he went later on and the twitch just stopped and they asked him, how did he do it? What did he do? He said he made peace knowing that he was ready to die. That was crazy to me, right? So, Martha, what are your thoughts about our sons, brothers, boyfriends, husbands, just our Black men in the movement, and the fact that, sometimes they do have to risk their lives for this?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to go in a different direction and say that many of us there's too many of us that have died. There's Breonna Taylor, there's George Floyd, there's a lot of folks that have already died that woke up and went to do about their day and were killed by police and have become our rallying cry for the movement. So I'm sorry, but I hope that, you can be passionate and that it could be your moral compass, but I don't believe that we should sacrifice any more Black and brown bodies for the movement. I think that we should be striving for, figuring out ways to monetarily support the movement so that if someone is passionate about doing movement work, that they are financially supported and not being exploited by white organizations to get paid for, to be used as their face and color, versus being able to support a true youth advocate looking to put together their own 501c3, and us as elders, not only helping them with the paperwork, but also, financing them, versus sending it to maybe some other organizations that no longer speak to our generation or Zoomers.
I'm with you on that, and there's that quote that says, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for, and I'm misquoting it, but you guys know what I mean, right? And so that's really what we want to do. And Peggy, what are your thoughts about that?
Well said, Martha. I think I share the same sentiments in regards to no more death, because what we've realized is that, let's just name some names, Coretta Scott and so many other women who have lost our Black men due to some type of standing up, some type of violence, some type of things. And I think especially with Haitian American Caucus, which I think is such an awesome platform. The work that they do is phenomenal. Being able to send our Black young males, right, into organization, to be a part of organization such as HAC Haitian American Caucus, such as Feed the Fire Global Ministry, such as so many other organizations that is there to be able to empower our Black men, to empower our leaders, to empower our future fathers, to empower our future senators, our future president, is so strategic in this time. So I think it is important as women that we continue to play a supportive role that we have always done and done such a great job at, is to make sure that we are sending our Black men to places that we will know that will equip them so that they can be successful, because we know that the stacks are so against them that it's so important that they see not only us as women, and let's be honest, it's important. We can empower our men, we can empower the young people, but how much more so can a Black male empower someone that looks just like him? And I think that that's very key in this season, and in this time and in this moment and moving forward, that not only do we encourage for us to be a part of partnerships, for us to be a part of organization that empowers our Black males, but also look out for those mentors, also look out for those leaders, and get our young and Black men under them so that they can really glean from them as well, so that they can be full of knowledge, they can have strategy in order to navigate this life.
I know you better bring it, Peggy, and all of you guys, bring it with these responses. I'm feeling this, yes. And I mean, yo, you hit it right on the nail. I believe so strongly in empowering our Black men, whether it be in their good days and on their bad days as well, right? Every time they walk out that door, my first prayer is that they walk back into the door. And no matter what happened on the outside, I mean, I want to make sure that my son, my brothers, my husband, whoever it is, feel empowered when they are in my presence, because they have so much that they're facing outside, right? So I see a question about how do we better protect each other while doing this work? That's a pretty big question, but you know, I do feel that our men, and not just men, women also, because we also have Coretta Scott King, who is an unsung hero, right? She held it down for Dr. Martin Luther King with the kids. She's the one that got Dr. Martin Luther King to start being vocal about the Vietnam War. I mean, so she was essentially a protector of him as well. So when you think about how we can protect each other, going forward in the causes in the movement. Naomi, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, I think we really just need to continue to communicate with each other and be real with each other. Naomi, when you opened up this panel, you said that one of the things that we know is we're going to be real, right? We're going to keep it real. We're going to talk to each other. Sometimes it feels like we keep it real amongst even our own groups, but still we need to keep it real with each other. You know, it's like you all said, you know, you're having conversations with your son about the police, and even as partners having conversations with each other, like, all right, when you go out this door, like you already know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So really just holding each other close and prioritizing in both advocate relationships that include friendships, you know, work and business partners, and even ones that will be as intimate as Dr. King and Coretta Scott. So really just trusting each other and communicating more and knowing like, hey, we're on the same side of this is sort of what comes to mind for me when I think about how we can protect each other in this fight.
Yes, I agree. Peggy, what about you? What are your thoughts in terms of just protecting each other and how we can go about doing it and the importance of doing it?
Great answer, Naomi. I would say to that, there's two things that actually just jumped to my mind. The first thing is, and you know, I am a woman of faith. I do believe that one of the forms is through prayer. I think prayer is so important. And I think that as people, we need to also get back to enriching our spiritual growth, right? Where we can have an understanding and we can be also led by God. But the second thing is that I take the initiative to is to educate and not to only educate our group, our people, but also to educate other nationalities, other groups. They need to know the pain that we have gone through. They need to know that we're still suffering, but we're suffering in silence. So you know what? I do take the extra step, and I do talk to my white sisters. I do talk to my white brothers and let them know, hey, I know you think we're all good, but here are some of the topics. Here are some of the issues. Here are some of the concerns that we're still dealing with. Here is some of these racial prejudice that I'm still dealing with. Here are the stereotypes that I'm still dealing with. You need to know this, and the only way we need to be able is to really be vocal about it and have those uncomfortable conversations with our other brothers and sisters with different skin colors, as we have to be able to make sure that not only are we protecting ourselves, but we're also telling these other people, hey, you guys need to be mindful that we also need to be protected. And how are you, as my brother and sister, even though we're not the same color, how are you protecting me? How are you advocating for me? Because we can't do this alone, family.
We cannot. And what a way to respond. So wow. And right now the time is already up for our panel. So right before we get off, I'd love to ask for, brief final comments from each of you about just your thoughts or anything that you'd like to share. So Martha, let's start with you. Do you have any just final comments that you'd like to briefly share?
I just want to thank everybody, including the Naomis and Hack. Thank you so much for having me. I just want to stress, outside of protecting our bodies, is to protect our minds. Our mental health in all of this is extremely tolling, taxing, and just making sure that we're mindful of rest and mindful of encouraging words and things. That there's a lot of mental health in activism and community work, and just having a good support system, whether they're friends and family or a therapist, and just stressing the mental health portion of this.
That's right. Yes, let's not forget the mental health that this toll is taking on us. Naomi, what are your final thoughts?
Sure. I think just to really reiterate the importance of community and mentorship and partnership. We all have to do this work together. Those of us who are as Black people, and then those of us who identify as allies, like, we need to work together. This is all of our fight. It's not just a fight for Black people. It's not just a fight for Black American. It's not just a fight for, whomever, XYZ. It's not just a fight for the poor. It affects all of us. So really just, empowering and charging everyone who's watching to continue to work together, and just lean into that partnership.
I know. That's right. Partnership is the way to go. Thank you so much, Naomi. Peggy, what final thoughts would you have to share with all of us today?
Well, I just want to begin by saying that it was truly an honor to be on this platform with so many dynamic women today. And earlier today, we heard some of our men speak, and they did an awesome job. I think what I would leave today is that Martin Luther King Day shouldn't just be one day. And we shouldn't always just have this topic on this one particular day. This is something that we should always have a passion and a fire for every single day of our lives, because our family depends on it. The next generation depends on it. So I would just encourage everybody to just ignite the passion that's within you, and to make sure that you partner up with organizations. Know that you're not alone. There are so many people who feel the same way that you feel, and let's get together. Let's empower each other. Let's empower each other spiritually. Let's empower each other emotionally, financially. Let's get with organizations such as Haitian American Caucus and so many other organizations that are doing so many impactful things, and we will thrive.
Yes, we thrive, we will. And then that's what, and I believe that's what MLK would have wanted for us to do. I think he sacrificed his life so that us and our community actually does thrive, and not have to continue to sacrifice our lives and continue to suffer for everything that's going on. So thank you so very much, Peggy. Thank you to Councilwoman Farah Lewis. thank you. And I hope this discussion was very engaging for all of you who were watching. Thank you to all those who are commenting, and continue to bring those comments, continue to partnership, continue to thrive, continue to work on your mental health as well as your physical, and also your financial wellness as well, because that is very important in all of us doing the work. So thank you all so very much for watching this portion, and we are going to move on to our next panelist discussion so far. Thank you very much.
Hey, Naomi, thank you so much for being such an amazing moderator for the ladies panel. So give it up for Naomi Bellamy, everybody. Give it up for her. Give it up. So we're gonna give it back to Naomi Bellamy real quick so she can introduce the next moderators for the youth panel coming up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Naomi Bellamy again.
Thank you all. So these next two moderators are people who are very near and dear to my heart as well. I'm very excited about them moderating because they too will keep it real, sometimes too real. So y'all better brace yourselves. But they come with a lot of love. They come with a lot of passion, energy, and this will be so very insightful. I'm looking forward to what they have to offer. So everyone, please, let's introduce Nadia and Barbara. Hello, ladies.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Nawa.
Hi, how are you?
We're good. How's it going? Hi, Nadia.
I think Nadia's on mute.
Nadia, you're on mute.
Yes, I am. I'm happy to be here today. Thank you, Mr. Samuel Pierre, Executive Director, for giving us this opportunity for us to come out here and talk about this great day today.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to turn this over to you, to Barbara and Nadia, so you guys can get this started. But I am so looking forward to learning and chuckling. And we'll talk later, y'all.
Yes.
Thank you, Nawa.
So my name is Nadia Aristide. I am the president of Maroon Strategist. I am also the managing finance director of the Haitian American Caucus. So Maroon Strategist is a business and finance consulting firm, and we help small businesses, media, government, we help people understand numbers, and we help them grow in profitability. Because one of the things about today, which is Martin Luther King Day, is he wanted social equity, social justice, that so that we can all win and so that we can all grow. So being in a business without movement, without growth, is not what Martin Luther King stands for. And we can never give up, and we have to continue to do this work. And so I would like to introduce Barbara, who is also the executive director of M&M Angels, who's pushing it and busting it out there and hitting these streets and doing all this good work.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to everyone who is watching, and definitely a great morning to Hack on this beautiful day as we celebrate a king, Martin Luther King, and all that he stands for. Again, my name is Barbara. I am CEO, co-CEO to my 8-year-old daughter, Morgan, who is the CEO of M&M Angels, Inc. And basically, we are based out of Queens, but we service all 5 boroughs in New York City, where we are servicing children and families who are living in transitional housing. And so it is a great pleasure for us to be here today, and we cannot wait to get the program started. Let's go, Nadia.
Yes.
So we're going to introduce our speakers, our panelists for today. Are we going to bring them in? We got it? Okay.
Okay, great.
Oh, Mr. DuPont, what's going on? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Make sure everyone is on. Mr. DuPont, we definitely want to say good morning to you and thank you for joining us this morning. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. And please introduce to everyone who you are and what you will be doing with us today.
Well, first
of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor and privilege to be connected to such an amazing team of people who understand how important it is to focus on the work. So thank you for having me on this very special day. And before I say anything else, I think it's important to acknowledge that even though it's Martin Luther King's Day, that kings wouldn't be anything without queens. So I just think that that's so important to communicate and to put out there first. So my name is Dominic DuPont, and I am the director of programs for making kids win.
Brother DuPont, before you go on,
organization of my uncle, the late great
Brother DuPont, before you do on, we do have a little bit of we do have a little bit of technical difficulty. So if you could just reload real quick, we're gonna go around and reintroduce the panel, and we'll come right back to you.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So let him know. Let Mr. DuPont know he has to reload because of the sound.
I think you got to get off and come back on, Mr. DuPont.
Come back on, Mr. DuPont, because the sound. Yeah, there seems to be a technical difficulty.
I hear it too.
You hear it? Yeah. Okay.
All right, Nadia.
All right, everyone.
We're gonna try this again.
So everyone, listen. Martin Luther King, no matter what was going on, he never gave up, right? So we have a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're going to get right through it. Barbara, let's talk about some of the importance, right, of Martin Luther King and the things that have happened, right? We could start talking about the protests that happened this past summer, right?
There's so much we could talk about.
Yeah, because of Martin Luther King, right? And civil rights movement, we had that freedom when the death of Floyd, right? We were able to go out there, George Floyd, we were able to go out there and speak our truth, right? And for justice. So that's something that the legacy of Martin Luther King have allowed us today to be able to do, right? What some other things, Barbara, that we can reflect on from this past year that, strengthened the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King?
So I definitely want to go a little further back. I definitely want to talk about where it started with Dr. Martin Luther King and as a youth, right? Being ordained as a minister in 1948 at just 19 years old to a church, Ebenezer Baptist Church, at just 19 years old. So when I think about that and I see our youth today, probably even second guessing themselves as far as being a leader, and allowing Martin Luther King's platform to show that no matter what age you are, you can be a leader of your community. You can be that leader. For example, Morgan, at just 7 years old, she decided I'm on a nonprofit organization to help my peers. So this is all the stuff that we're going to talk about today to empower our youth, to let them know that you too can be a leader. You too are a Dr. Martin Luther King. So I am excited and I'm ready to start our conversation. If they would just bring our people back on so we can get going.
Absolutely. And just to talk more about the leadership, remember, we want to remind the youth, you can do whatever you want to do. This is what Dr. Martin Luther King died for, okay? For racial equality, okay? Justice and public service. Remember, whatever you're doing, you have to always remember others, okay? It's not all about you all the time, but whatever you want to do, whatever you face, whatever it is that's out there you want to do, and you face some type of adversity, don't ever feel you can't do something, okay? You can do what you want to do. And if anytime someone makes you feel
less than
because of who you are, because of how you speak, or because
your
of
age.
the color of your skin, your age, okay, just remember, do not sit in fear. Do not be depressed, because remember, Dr. Luther King's legacy is to let us know that we can move forward okay, and we could get past adversity. So remember, you have people out here. You have the Haitian American Caucus. You have M&M Angels. You have leaders, okay, all the leaders who are on this platform that you can reach out to help you, okay? So don't ever feel like you're defeated, okay, because you're undefeated. And this is what Martin Luther King represents. This is what his legacy represents, because he had a dream, okay?
Absolutely.
He had a dream that all of us would be together in unity and love to help one another. So remember, our youth, We have to help one another. Don't judge others just because they don't look like you. Okay. We have to help one another. All right. So
all right, we're going to try this again. We're going to try this party again.
Try this again.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining. I'm super, super duper excited to have everyone back on. Let me get some energy. Can I get some energy? Let me see some energy.
Yes.
Energy,
yes.
energy. Come on. We're the youth panelists. We're supposed to have some kind of youth with some energy, right? Come on, let's go.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. I see some smiles. I'll take the smiles. I'll take that. But we're going to go on with Mr. DuPont. I want you to definitely introduce yourself and let's get the show started.
Thank you. Can you hear me now without any feedback?
Yeah, it's still a little feedback, but let's see.
Do you have your phone next to your computer, Mr. DuPont?
No.
Okay. All
no,
right.
we checked it earlier. It was totally fine. I'm trying to like, if you want me to move somewhere else, I could.
Let's
like
probably try to move maybe where your position. But we're gonna start with Dawn. Hi, Dawn. How are you? Good morning. I can't. Is it?
Davin.
Right, can we see?
Davin, right, I got it correct, Davin?
Oh, Davin. Oh, so this is not good for the youth, right? My eyes are not useful, clearly.
We got you, Davin. We got your name correct.
Davin, what's going on? Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Oh, it's the bass in the throat for me.
I know, right?
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Davin. I grew up in Brooklyn, but my parents are from Haiti. So that's a really big aspect of myself. I actually like the culture of Haiti because it brings out who I am. Like if somebody was supposed to ask me where I come from, I wouldn't really say I grew up in America. I'd be like, I'm from Haiti, because Haiti is it's a diverse country. It's like got so much aspects coming out of Haiti. It's like an endless topic that you can like put out there and it would never be able to end. I go to Club Martin High School. Right now I'm 15. I'm about to turn 16 in a few months. Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Happy early birthday. So I have a question for you. What does this day mean to you? Dr. Martin, what does this day mean to you?
This day, it just means it just means that anybody could be a leader if they really wanted to. You don't have to be Hispanic, Black, white. Like you can just come out of birth and you can be a leader if you wanted to. It's just the way you present yourself, how you lead yourself, that will make people to like know like, yes, this man is a leader. I want to follow him. Like Martin Luther King, during his time, he was a Black man. Most people didn't really like during that time. It's kind of like segregated. Like most people always follow the whites instead of the Blacks, but like he put himself out as a leader. He
That's
put
right.
himself out as an activist, somebody that wants to change or are better for the future. So once he showed that to even just a couple of people, a lot of people like started to agree with him and hop on his movement. So like this is what this day means to me.
Awesome. Awesome. So I know we're using the word leader. Who can help me break down the word leader? Like what does leadership means to you? This is for anyone. Don't just all jump at once now. So if you hear the word leader, what would that mean to you? Imani, let's go.
The word leader to me, basically somebody who they know like who they are, what they want to do, and they can encourage other people to do what they need to do, what they want to do. They can encourage people to step outside of their comfort zone instead of being in their comfort zone and following everybody. They can encourage people to try new things.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. I definitely love it. And we do know that many a times, with the youth, because of your age, you feel like, oh my goodness, I can't do this because I'm too young. Would you say that that's one of the hesitations where a lot of our youth today are not stepping up to the plate to become leaders, is because they're facing, self-esteem issues as far as their age, maybe their economical background, where they're from?
Yeah, that's definitely an issue.
I really believe in that, because most people will like say that they will always have the brightest ideas of what they want to do, but like they will always have, okay, I'm from here, so people wouldn't accept me because I'm from this certain location, or because of the color of my skin. Because of the color of my skin, people wouldn't accept for who I am, or even what I wear. People wouldn't like believe in like what I have to say. But like if the people of this community will actually like put that to the side and like do what they really believe, like I just heard a couple of minutes ago, like somebody at the age of 7 started a non-profit organization for their peers. Like, there's no limit to what you can do, or that there's no age limit or height limit or anything, that you can do what you want to do if you put your mind to it.
Right. A question just came in about what gave, like, for example, with Martin Luther King starting so young, we talked about him starting being a minister at just the age of 19 years old. He became an ordained minister. Then you have an example of Morgan Grace, who at just 7 years old decided, you know what, I'm going to start a nonprofit organization to help my peers. There's that one word, right, that we would use, which is called audacity. Audacity is a very, very big thing, right? When you feel like I could walk into this bank, I know I'm not legit, but I have the audacity to go in there and to ask for that loan. What does that word audacity mean as far as when you bring it into leadership that motivates you to become a leader? Nadi, I'm going to have you go into this.
Okay, that means when you have the audacity, that means you just believe and know that you know within yourself that you have the power beyond you, right? I'm faith-based, okay? So I believe in God. We should put God first in all things, because when you think you can do it, God can give you that courage, that might, okay, that spirit, that strength for you to do things that you don't think that you can do. A lot of the times, there are things that we are afraid of, right? But if you put fear behind, right, you put your faith in God, right, and you push beyond your fears, that's you having the audacity, right, to do the things that people say that you couldn't do, to do things that you think you couldn't do, to impact not only yourself, but others. Because remember, Dr. Martin Luther King, it wasn't just here to just impact himself, right? He was here to make a difference for you, me, your grandmother, your grandfather, your children, your grandchildren, your children's children. So when you have the audacity, to make change. You come out of yourself, right? You move out of yourself, out of your own way, out of your thinking, but you're thinking about good things and things that'll be done to not only impact you, but everybody else around you and the kids and the youth, right? Like, for example, you guys are youth today. Martin Luther King had the audacity, okay, to say, you know what? I'm putting my foot down. Enough with segregation. I want every color, every nation, from wherever you come from, to be together, to learn together, to go to school together, to work together, right? So this is the same audacity that you have to have today, right? To be able to do things beyond what you think you can do, because you can do anything, right? You don't just have to do it by yourself, but use your community, use people from different backgrounds. And when you do see that there's some social injustice that's being done, where someone is being judged because of their color, being judged because of where they come from, let me ask you guys, what are you going to do in a situation like that? Brittany, I'm going to put that question to you, Brittany. What would you do in a situation where there's social injustice, where someone is being judged, right, because of the color of their skin, or because of where they're from, or because they have an accent? What are the things that we can do as young people? What can we start doing to change those views?
To stand up for him, to tell an adult, a responsible adult who you know will also uplift them and help them. And basically tell them that's not true, to be confident in themselves and that there's nothing wrong with them.
That's right. Davin.
I would just tell them to bro, it's just about you. Like you can go to an adult and everything, but like, does it, like, you can look at a situation like me. If somebody was supposed to say that to me, I would just laugh at it, because I don't believe in that, right? If you know your value, you know your worth, then there's no nothing that anybody could say would affect you.
So, Davin, how about if you have a friend or someone that's in your circle who don't have that faith like you do, who doesn't have that same belief system that you do, and others are judging them and they don't feel good about themselves? What can you do to uplift that person?
Everything takes time, right? So just give them a talk. Obviously, not right then and there. They will like, oh yeah, I feel that faith. I'll feel that jump. It just give them a talk. Like over time, obviously with time, everything in this world revolves around time. So you give them a talk over and over again about confidence, the positive things about them. Over time they will start building that confidence. Like me, I didn't start out with no confidence. My parents gave me talks over and over and over again.
Yes, very
So now by the time, like I'm in high school now, so by the time I reach high school, for example, by the time I reach high school, I have confidence. So whatever people say to me, it wouldn't matter to me. So yeah,
That's good, Davin. I like
Wait,
that.
Nadia, let me just ask this one question. Do you think, and question is for everyone, Brittany, Davin, everyone on here, do you think that Dr. Martin Luther King would be happy with the way the youth are right now, the generation right now? Would he be happy? When you look inside your high school, you look in your communities and what's happening, would Dr. Martin Luther King be happy with the youth, this generation today? Brittany, go.
For what I see around me, no. Because a lot of us, especially me, I can admit this, we say we can't do this. We keep stopping ourselves. We let our fears stop us from doing a lot of stuff. I feel like a lot of our youth are letting their fears control them, including me.
Right. Okay, that's a good one. I definitely, Imani, let's hear from you. Is Imani on?
No, I don't believe Imani. Oh,
there she is. Imani, you was trying to hide from us, Imani.
I feel like no, he wouldn't be proud, especially in my school, because in my school, everything is so separated. It's like my school is diverse, yeah, but at the same time, it's segregated because the Black kids hang to themselves. They don't talk to anybody else. The white kids, they don't talk to anybody else. The Black kids feel like they can't try out for the cheerleading team because it has a white cheer captain. And it's like, it doesn't make sense to me, because if we go to a school that's supposed to be diverse, why do the Black kids feel like they can't communicate and talk to the other kids?
So Imani, I challenge you, right? We talked about the word audacity. We talked about leadership. And when you see those things happening, right? What do you think you can do, Imani, a queen, a leader that can bring about change to that situation? Just looking into that situation as a leader and what Martin Luther King stands for today. How do you think you can bring about change in that situation?
I try to do the things that the other kids in my school are scared to do. The girl was scared to try out for the cheerleading team. I tried out. Did I make it? No, but I tried out. So now then she tried out because I tried out. And I did the same thing for the debate team, and I ended up making the debate team. I did the same thing for student government. Like every time I see a kid wants to do something and they're scared to do it because of skin color, I turn around and do it. And if I don't make it, I don't make it. But at least they're going to try because I did it.
Right.
That is wonderful, awesome. Imani. That's leadership skills.
There you go, Imani. That's amazing. Anyone else would like to piggyback off of what we're talking about right now about the changes that we see that needs to happen, and how are you working towards that in your generation? I knew he was going to come on. There we go.
Something that you can do, or we could do for this generation, is that many people have big dreams. I'm gonna put it like that. Many people have big dreams, or some people act a certain way because they're forced to, or because of the people around them. So like, just like Imani said, just showing that, like, being a leader, like even if you don't make it, even if you're not, you know that you're not gonna make it, it just to show that the other students, like, all right, I might have a chance, because if she did it or he did it, I should be able to do it, right? So like, yeah, it just, people act a certain way because they want to. But if you show them that you could be different, they will like, because people some people, most people do not like difference. Like once they see that you're different, they're either gonna despise it or they're gonna follow it. And when you're doing a difference for a good cause, most people tend to follow it. So,
Awesome. And I have a question. Another question that I have is, as a youth, right? As the youth, do you feel like, for example, the older generation, community, the society is supporting you guys as youth, future leaders? Do you feel like there are programs that are designed to help you? How do you guys feel as far as going into the leadership role? I'm going to go with Brittany.
I say yes, because for me, I'm part of Ede Youth, basically, and that's been a great program to help me learn leadership skills, because we do like backpack drives, we go give food to homeless shelters, and I'm kind of shy also, so it also helps bring me out of my shell, be more communicative, basically.
It's okay, we got you.
Yeah, so it helps me be more confident, feel better about myself also, that I'm helping the world and everything.
Right. And so that's the part of being a leader, right? I feel like a lot of times people feel like being a leader is like you're doing it on your own. And what people don't understand is part of being a leader is having a great support system and partnering with other leaders to make sure that vision is executed. Imani, what do you have to say about the support that you feel that is in your community that's helping you be the best queen that you can be?
I definitely agree with Brittany about the Ede Youth. And then there's this other program that I'm a part of called CAVI. It stands for Kings and Queens Against Violence Initiative.
Nice.
It's a really, yeah. I get emails from them all the time. They have a lot of programs. They had like a speech type thing. I forgot what it was called, in a park like a few weeks back that I went to. They they have a lot of meetings. They do poetry slams and everything. Like we just talk about how to prevent our kids, like our future and everything, from getting into violence, from having to deal with we know how to deal with police brutality better than some other people, so that we could avoid getting killed, so that we can avoid going to jail for something that's not our fault.
Right. Oh, wow. This is so deep. Nadia, you want to go? You have any questions? Thank you so much for that, Imani. I definitely thank you for that. And everyone who definitely participated with the questions. Go ahead, Nadia.
So I would like to ask Imani, Davin, and Brittany, what part of Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy do you identify with today, that you represent today? What part of his legacy that you represent today, that's part of you that you're doing today? I know Imani said some things about, whatever that other people don't want to try out, she'll try out to give everybody the ability to do that. So what is it that part of Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy that you identify with today? We'll start with Imani first, Brittany second, and Davin third. Imani's on mute.
I definitely feel like, well, I don't know too much about his legacy, mainly because of our schools, not really good at all. Because there's a lot that I didn't learn about him until I was helping my cousin with his homework. Like I didn't know Martin Luther King had ended up in jail until I was helping my cousin with his homework. The only thing that my school ever taught me about it was his I Have a Dream speech. So I'm helping my cousin with his homework and he's like, oh yeah, Martin Luther King went to jail. And I'm like, when did this happen? Like, I didn't know about this. And so it's like the only part that I know is his I Have a Dream speech, but the fact that he was able to like lead the whole march and go up there and give that speech, that's what encourages me to help other kids. That's what encourages me to help other kids. Yeah, I have the audacity to help other kids. Like, if you can't do something, okay, let me show you. This is how you do it. Now you want to try again, or I can help you try. Like, if it's something that I know for a fact that I cannot do, I'm still going to try it. Then maybe you can do it. You're going to try it. You're going to make it. And you would have never tried that if you didn't see somebody else try it.
So, you know what? It's interesting that you say that, Imani, and I believe the educational system must do a better job, because I'm very shocked to hear that you say that there was a limited. So I just want to say that, Martin Luther King Day, it matters because it recognizes Dr. King's legacy, right? His services. It inspired us to serve in many ways, right? Dr. King, he advocated for lifetime racial justice, right? economic equality, affordable housing, labor rights. Like we know already that he fought against segregation, you know, so that we all can do things together. Of course, we have his I have a dream speech. And Imani, when you have some time, I would like you to go through that speech. You can go through it through YouTube, right? Go on YouTube to learn a little bit more, right? And to hear the speech for yourself, right? Because a lot of the things that you're doing now, Imani, is you're living his legacy. The fact that you had the audacity to be a leader and say, you guys don't want to try out? I'm going to try out. I don't care if it's an all-white team. I'm going to try out. You guys don't want to try out for the debate team because I'm going to do that. And then you had people had the audacity to do the same thing because you took the initiative. So that is part of Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy. Okay. So I would like you, Imani, to do your own research, right? Go listen to the I Have a Dream speech, right? Go on YouTube, listen to it, and just read a little bit more about what he was about and his legacy, because you are certainly living his legacy. Okay.
Awesome. I see that we have Mr. DuPont back with us. We're going to try this again. We're going to try this. The third time's the charm. I think we got you this time. Let's see. Let's try to bring you on. Can you hear us, Mr. DuPont?
I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, you sound perfect.
Somebody got rid of that Metro PCS.
No, I do iPhone.
No offense.
I had to pull out
Mr.
the
DuPont
iPad.
said, I'm not giving up. I'm going to have the audacity to come back and be clear on this platform.
Yes, ma'am. I pulled out the iPad. I was like, email it to me. Let me use my Christmas gifts.
Nice. Mr. DuPont, we're going to go straight into it. Please introduce yourself again for the third time, and let everyone know where you're coming from.
Definitely. And I try to keep it brief. So my name is Dominic DuPont, and I'm the director of programs for a non-for-profit that my uncle, the late, great Michael Kenneth Williams, started. Most people think MKW stands for Michael K. Williams, and it really doesn't. It really stands for Making Kids Win.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have in common with Martin Luther King and a lot of you guys on the call is that I went to prison really young, and I served 20 years, 7 months, and 18 days in maximum security prisons all across New York State. I was released from prison early after receiving a commutation. Most people know the term as a pardon because of a lot of the work that I was engaged in and doing while on the inside. And I used my influence and my ability to lead to connect with the right people. And I used the gift that God gave me. And a lot of those skills that I had while I was in prison transitioned into the community. I was also the subject of a documentary that aired on HBO called Raised in the System. And I heard someone earlier talking about education in school and, you know, how some systems are failing. And that documentary highlights that conversation about the school to prison pipeline. Mm-hmm. And Michael, you know, he was my uncle. He was someone who was really, really supportive of my transition back into the community immediately. And passionate, very passionate. He immediately hired me, and we started going all around the country. I had been to more prisons and jails than I had been while on the outside than when I was on the inside. And that work continued to a lot of other things, providing other platforms for me to work in theater and to connect with young people who I identified with as having skin in the game. And I really believe this concept that those who were once closest to the problem are probably closest to the solution, but furthest from resources. And we wanted to figure out ways to engage with young people and help them thrive and survive so that they didn't have to end up in situations like me. So in a nutshell, that's what we were engaged in. A lot of that work continued. We worked on an amazing documentary called Black Market, which speaks to the underground economy, the underground system, and this idea that when the system fails you, we create our own system to survive. And that aired last week, the first episode last week, and then tonight at 10 o'clock, another episode will come on, and then we have 4 more episodes that will be coming on. So I like to keep it really brief. I really like the conversations to be fluid, and I really like the people that I'm speaking to know that if there's any question that they have about my life, about my experiences, that there's no question that's too intrusive, there's no question that's too personal. Please feel free to ask me anything about my personal experiences, how I survived on the inside, on the outside. And I'll close out by saying that as we celebrate Martin Luther King Day, a lot of his energy, a lot of his commitment. And for me, commitment means going a distance, no shortcuts. His ability to get through hard days and hard times was really how I survived in prison, and really gave me this platform now where I'm, working and just doing amazing things with young people all across the globe. And I do want to shout you out. You know who I'm talking to, Ms. B, because you were just an integral part of me helping me understand that. I also heard people talk about judgment. When I first had the opportunity to meet you, it was in a way that I would never have thought that I would have met you. And one of the first things that you explained to me was, listen, I don't judge people. People make decisions, they make bad choices, and they have to figure these things out. And I want to see you succeed. And then and that was a pivotal part of me being successful in the work. So I just like to acknowledge you and give you your flowers while you're here. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Dupont. Thank you so much. And I thank you definitely for coming on here and accepting the invite to talk to the youth and to talk to the audience about what you've been through, which is personal, right? But making it a platform to help our youth today not make those same decisions that you made. And the question that I'm going to go into, and this is for you as well as for the rest of everyone watching, what if no one believed in Dr. Martin Luther King? What if no one believed in Dominique Dupont? Where would we be, or where would you be today?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. So if no one believed in Dr. King, then we would not be where we are at as a society today. And there are a lot of things that I think that we need to continue to work on, but his resilience, his ability to understand that we have to continue to work. We cannot be silent. We have to be able to understand how important and why it's important to be engaged in social justice and what that looks like and what it feels like if we don't have those things, is what I believe this world would look like if we didn't have Dr. King. What I also know is that, like I mentioned a little while ago, Dr. King was a pivotal part of how I maintained my sanity in prison, and how I realized that people like him and Mandela, who went from prisoner to president, can be successful in life. And that if we just prepare ourselves, if we understand that everything that we need, God has given us and is within us to be successful, that we will be so much further along our journey. We'll be able to conquer the different situations and circumstances that come upon us as we, try to understand what life is really about.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. For Imani, for Devin, for Brittany, do you guys have any questions for Mr. Dupont and what we are talking about right now? I would love to hear from, I'm going to go with Imani first.
I don't really have any questions because I'm not sure. I don't have any questions. But yeah, back to the Mandela thing. That's literally the only person that my school ever told me, like in school. The only Black person that was also an activist that my school ever told me went to jail. They never mentioned anybody else going to jail, which is why I was so shocked when I was helping my cousin with his homework and he told me that Martin Luther King went to jail, because I thought it was only Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, we have to really do a better job. And I would also challenge everyone who's in the educational system to take a lead in part of changing this. If we have any political you know, if we have our political speakers who are still here, to ensure that, you know, our kids know their history and what's going on, because this is sad to hear right now, right? So let's all come up with a solution, you know, regarding that, on how we can ensure that our kids know their history, especially Martin Luther King. That's something that's very important. Also, Mr. DuPont, I wanted to ask you this, because I know we talked to the youth about this, about what can they do, you know, to make a change. What I find that's awesome about you is that even on the inside, you decided, I'm going to do something different. What gave you the audacity? Because we've been talking about the audacity, right? What gave you that audacity to say, you know what? I know I'm on the inside, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something different. What came into your mind? What made you move that way? What steps did you take? Regardless, you didn't feel defeated, right? You're inside now, right? Because we got people who are on the outside who feel defeated, right? You were on the inside. What is it that went through your mind? What is it that made you feel undefeated, that made you want to, you know, make a change? And what else can you tell the youth, right? The secondary question is, what advice can you give the youth about change and how to make a difference?
Yeah, thank you. So the first thing is to be true to yourself. You know, what I learned is that people, places, and things will jam you up every single time, and that's something that I learned, that if you surround yourself around people who are engaged in things that they're not supposed to be in, ultimately you're going to be involved in something you're not supposed to be in. And if you're around those places and around those things, it's just a matter of time. You know, the reality is you got to be right every time, and they only got to be right once. And that's how it happens. You get caught up in this cycle, and you just wind up getting trapped up and finding yourself in a bad situation. And a lot of times we know, you know, you hear that small voice in your head. You hear some family member, some friend, some colleague, a comrade say, you know, listen, you hear that voice in your head saying like, I don't know if I should be going down this lane, but sometimes we go down it anyway. And, you know, I was hard-headed at times, and, you know, I came up in a good household, and I just realized that, that I can't just know better. I got to do better. And that was one of the pivotal principles that I stood on while on the inside. Outside of that, it was this idea that I wanted to be different. You know, I was in a prison, the second biggest prison in all of New York State. We had 2,200 men that lived in that facility. That's 6,600 meals that needed to be prepared every single day. And I wanted to be different. I wanted to be the person who stood out. I wanted to be the person who didn't you know, identify people by their uniform or by their race. You know, I wanted to be that different person who treated someone like a human being, and wanted to be treated like a human being despite my environment. So I looked at, you know, my environment, and I understood that that if we, this was Michael's famous quote, if we just loved up on each other, if we just treated people like we wanted to be treated, or how we wanted our family members to be treated, the world would be a better place. And the last and final thing that inspired me was, I didn't want to send my mother to her grave worrying about me. I knew that she had put in a lot of work to, you know, make sure that that my destiny wasn't defined by a DIN number, that I wasn't defined, you know, the best that I was, the best that I deserved was to live in a cage for the rest of my life. I knew that my mother was concerned about those things, and I wanted to work really hard to show her that the work that she put in early on wasn't, you know, was not for wasn't for a good reason. Yeah, it wasn't in vain. Thank you. And so I did that. And even though my mother passed away before I was released, oftentimes she would come to visit me. I could see that she was pleased with my progress while I was in prison. And you know, she understood that, like you said, her work was not in vain.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Mr. DuPont. That is so awesome.
Thank you for sharing. I am super happy that we were all able to do this. And one thing I'm hearing from the conversation that we're having is about the different characteristics of being a leader, right? The main word that we've been using today, what is it, guys? Everybody come off of mute. What is that main word that we've been using today?
Audacity.
Audacity. Having the audacity to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring forth change. That is what Martin Luther King did. He had the audacity to say, you know what? I'm going to lead this and I'm going to look for change within my community. And so one thing we need to understand about great leaders is in order to be a great leader to serve is you have to be honest and trustworthy, right? You can't say I'm going to be a leader and you don't have anybody behind you, right? So that is one of the other characteristics we need to talk about. And also having the ability to serve. Being a leader is not only giving out commands, but also being able to serve. Just like Mr. DuPont said, he is part of the organization Making King's Wing, right? That's what it is, Making King's Wing. Right? So it's absolutely having the audacity, but also not being arrogant about it, right? But also being able to serve and partner with other organizations, with other leaders in order to complete that vision.
Also, can we put in the chat box the documentaries that Mr. DuPont is working on?
Yes.
So that the viewers can tune in? If you would like to repeat those documentaries again, Mr. DuPont, so we can put it in the chat.
Definitely. So the first one is called Raised in the System. And that you can just Google Raised in the System or Michael K. Williams, Raised in the System.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an amazing documentary. You know, it's about the school to prison pipeline. It's just phenomenal. You know, we received the Emmy nomination for it.
Yes.
And the second one that just recently aired was Black Market.
Mm-hmm.
And that speaks to the school to prison pipeline. We did one 5 years ago. Vice reached out to us again, and we completed almost the entire thing before Michael died. And then we had Rosie Perez, Tracy Morgan, and Snoop, Felicia Snoop Pearson from The Wire, just do 3 voiceovers. But
and that's in the Black Market.
It's called Black Market. It airs on Vice tonight at 10 o'clock p.m.
Oh, Vice tonight.
Nice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are super duper excited. We are super grateful that everyone could join, but we also want to highlight our Ede Youth participants who are here today who got all A's. You guys didn't think I knew about this, right? But you guys got all A's. Your GPA is like phenomenal. I got a copy of your report cards. I was like, say what? So we definitely want to like congratulate you guys as well on doing a phenomenal job and already setting the tone as leaders, right? So I am super duper grateful for everyone who joined. I'm going to have everyone just say a last thing about leadership and what it means to you, so we can go out. I'm going to go to Brittany. Let me go start with Brittany, and then we'll go to Imani, Devin, and we'll go around. But go ahead, Imani, and how you felt about this segment today. Oh, I'm sorry, Brittany.
Okay.
You're already on.
I think leadership means being sure of yourself, having confidence, and also uplifting others. For example, for me, I'm part of a program that works with my guidance counselor's office, basically. And part of that program is I help introduce new kids to the school, get them familiar, sit with them at lunch, tell them about all the different programs and stuff at school. So stuff like that.
And so what advice would you give to someone who is watching right now in your age group or even younger? What would you say to them, another youth your age?
Get involved. There's a lot of programs out there, like search. You can either search or also you can go through your school. Like, for example, the guidance counselor thing. I talked to my guidance counselor and she automatically put me in the program. And it's been amazing.
Nice.
And it's helped me out a lot. So just ask around, search, just Google for a reason.
I love it. Get involved. I love it. Get involved. Just get involved, right? All right, Imani, let's go to you. Hey, Imani.
Basically, I feel like leadership is even if you're not 100% sure of what the outcome is going to be, at least try it, because you're never going to know if you don't try it. So at least like try it, do what you want. Like, it doesn't matter what other people are doing, what other people think, how other people are going to look at you. If you want to do it, then do it, because that's the only way that you're going to get what you want, is if you do what you want.
That's right. And what is that word that we've been using all morning?
Audacity.
Audacity. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Imani. Let's go, young king. What would you say to the youth your age? Let's go.
The one thing I'll say to the youth my age is believe in yourself.
Yes.
You won't have the audacity to do anything if you don't believe in yourself first.
Nice.
Because without believing in yourself, you can't go far, or you can't start anything. Once you have that little courage or a little fire in yourself, there's endless possibilities on what you can do.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love it. And Mr. Dupont, what would you say to all the youth that are watching right now as far as being a leader, being fearful, whether it be their social background, economical background, just society in of itself? What advice would you leave with us today?
The advice that I would leave today for the youth on the call is to just continue to be true to yourself, to understand that true leadership begins with what you talked about earlier, being a servant, and and that's the advice that I would leave. I just want to add this. There's an amazing scholarship program. Are these 8th and 9th graders or 10th graders?
We have everyone watching. We have
Okay.
babies watching. We have everyone watching.
There's an amazing scholarship program that I want to talk to you about and extend this to you, whoever else is on the call. They can, figure it out. They can work, through you and the leadership on the call.
Awesome.
Through Madison Square Garden, that focuses specifically on 9th and 10th graders. But we're doing a big event on February 14th. I want to get you the flyer and connect you with the leadership over there through the Dr. Barnett program. So
nice.
He used to work for the Knicks. He was a big basketball player for the Knicks, and they have an amazing scholarship program. And we've worked and got a few kids there. They focus on the same things that we're talking about. So offline, I want to get that information to you. We'll get some emails going, and
awesome.
I'd like to get them involved. This is exactly the type of youth that we're looking for, and I'm positive that this would be amazing and that they would really appreciate what they have going.
Absolutely. Oh my God, this was super duper amazing. Nadia, do you have anything you want to say before we transition into what's next?
Yeah, I simply want to say I would like to thank everyone. I would like to thank the youth. You guys did an awesome job. Mr. DuPont, it was a pleasure to meet you. Haitian American Caucus, a pleasure. We're going to continue to do good work. But like we've been saying, and the hashtag is audacity, always have the audacity to be more than you are. Always have the audacity to help other people. Always have the audacity to be a change. Always have the audacity to be a leader and not a follower.
Let's go.
Always have the audacity, right? If you feel like you have having anxiety or self-esteem issues, have the audacity to take care of that so that you can be the leader that you were called to be. We were all called to do something. Have the audacity to do what you're good at and make a change for your community and other people and be impactful.
I love it. It's the energy for me. You was about to
Hallelujah.
preach. I felt it.
Glory be to God. Yes, Lord.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to close out by saying that, in everything that we talked about today, as being a mother to Morgan Grace, who at 6 years old, who sat in the back of the car and said, Mommy, I want to give out snacks to children in the shelter, and believing in her, right? As her parent, as her mother, and believing in her, and watching her have the audacity, right, to say, you know what, I'm going to take this to the next level. Mommy, I want more. I want to do it more. So not only is it about having audacity as the person, but also to the older generation rather, excuse me, is being supportive of our youth. It is very, very important as caretakers, parents, the community, to support our youth. Our youth is our tomorrow. And our thing at M&M Angels is love leads to a better future. When you provide our youth today with love, when you provide them with support and resources today, our future would be better. I don't like hearing people say, I don't know what's going to happen with our future. You see these kids today, but what about you? What are you doing as an adult right now? What are you doing as a caretaker right now, as the system right now, to provide our youth with the essential resources that they need, such as Ede Youth, such as HACK, to instruct our kids on how to be effective leaders, not only effective, but impactful. You can be a leader of anything, right? But are you impactful in your community? Are you impactful? Is the main thing as being a leader. So I definitely want to thank HACK again for allowing us to partner with them today, Maroon Strategist, Ede Youth, a host of others, to provide our youth with this platform today, because I feel, especially as young people, they're not provided with platforms to express themselves. Oh, whatever with them. No, it's not whatever with them. They have a lot of things that they share with us, and we as a community have to support our youth. So definitely big thank you to Sam, who allowed us to be here today, to have this open platform for our youth, because, I'm very passionate about our babies. I don't care how young you are.
That's right.
I feel that you have something to give back. And it's our responsibility, again, community, everyone who's watching, to support our youth regardless of where they're from, their age, and their beliefs.
Well, thank you so much, Barbara and Nadia. Thank you so much for coming and being a part and moderating this amazing youth panel that I think was phenomenal. I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank Imani. I want to thank, Mr. Dumont. I want to thank Brittany. I want to thank Mr. DuPont, rather. Davin DuPont. I want Davin also. Davin, who was doing his thing with his deep baritone voice.
I know, right?
We want to thank him as well. And for everything that you guys are doing. We really appreciate you. Everybody give it up for M&M Angels and Maroon Strategist and Ede Youth. Give it up for Ede Youth. Give it up for Ede Youth. I'm bringing my man real fast up here.
Wait, that ain't her. Let's stop.
Chauncey, just to say two quick words about Ede Youth before we jump into our final and our last keynote from Bishop Pastor Chris, who's gonna do just like a preacher and close us out for our program. But before we do that, I want to hear a few words from Chauncey, from Ede Youth.
Sure. Thank you so much, Hack, for allowing us and giving us the opportunity and the space and the time to even be able to join on this. I'm old school Hack, Hack forever. And but with Ede Youth, just to give you a little bit about Ede Youth. So Ede Youth is a nonprofit organization that exists to answer the question, how do we raise tomorrow's leaders today? And so we do that by providing workshops and exposing our youth to industries and to men and women like yourselves who are willing to put their hands to the plow and to teach them how to make strides and how to really make a difference in their communities and in their countries. We also serve youth and young adults in Haiti with vocational programs. So there's so much that we have going on. And we love our youth. We are super, super, super duper proud of our young people that joined the call today, and they represented well. So I just want to tip my hat to all three of you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and know that you have inspired a group of other young people to step forward and do what you just did. So kudos to you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone at Hack, Nadia, Barbara. We love you guys, and we look forward to continue to conquering more and more hearts of young people in our nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, man. We love Ede Youth. Thank you. We look forward to working together to getting the youth the resources that they need. So we really appreciate you, Chauncey. Thank you, man.
Indeed, my pleasure.
Awesome.
All right. So again, thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Barbara, for everything. We appreciate you, ladies. Please put in the chat if you want to get involved with M&M Angels. if you want to get involved with Ede Youth, please, Ede Youth, M&M Angels, please put it in the chat so that people can find you guys, so that everybody, can go and join and be a part of it. Again, this is Sam Pierre from the Haitian American Caucus. Feel free to join HAC if you want to be a part of more of these programs. This is January. We are just getting started. If you want to be a part of more of our HAC programs, just click on the top, hacglobal.org/join, and become a member today. So without further ado, I have the amazing opportunity to introduce a very, very powerful brother who has been doing amazing work in our community for a very long time. Pastor Chris, as we like to call him, is a man who has a lot of powerful words, and me and Francois call him the preacher's preacher, right? Because he knows how to, and a leader's leader. He knows how to get to you. He knows how to communicate, and he knows how to empower you to take it to the next level. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys are too, to bring on my brother, Pastor Chris, to come up here and close us out on this Martin Luther King Day celebration. Pastor Chris, how are you, my brother?
Doing all right, brother. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity just to share just a little bit.
Absolutely, Pastor Chris, we appreciate you. We love you. Dr. Bishop, First Prelate, all the titles, all the blessings we're putting up upon you. Pastor Chris, take us away, my brother.
How much time I have, do you think, Sam? Let me know. I don't know. How much time?
I think if you want to do 10, that's good. That's good for us, man.
Right. Sure, no problem. First, once again, I thought this entire program presentation was amazing. This really hits home for me, just seeing how just people within the community are coming together, especially just empowering the young people in the next generation. I was so impressed by what I heard and what I saw. And real quickly, just for the next few minutes, if I can just kind of share with you my heart, even just reflecting on this day as we honor the late Dr. Martin Luther King, just a concept of what it means, just in terms of honoring. I know growing up, even in the church, being raised in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, based on the way we approach the gospel, being a man of faith myself, there was frustration there as a child, growing up in the church and in my dad's house, only because there was this constant emphasis on forgiveness and this constant emphasis on turning the other cheek. What ended up happening, though, was I became more frustrated with it, because turning the other cheek just meant I was getting hit more and more, especially when it came to things regarding race and inequality and things like that. So I ended up walking away from the Lord a bit and just started trying to find other belief systems that I felt would enhance my purpose as a young Black man. But by the grace of God, love drew me back in. And when I gave my heart to the Lord, third year of college, and just started to follow him, what I felt was the only way I could survive was to suppress this thought, suppress these feelings and these ideas of a need for justice, because just by the way we were raised or how things were filtered in and processed, it was like as if this had no place in Christianity. And fast forward a couple of years later, just working within the community, I pastored a church in Hempstead, Long Island, Hempstead Assembly of God. I served on the executive presbytery for the New York Ministry Network of the Assemblies of God. And my position as an executive presbyter is a representative of the different ethnicities found in the state of New York. And working with brothers of different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and seeing how the struggle exists, I saw where there was a lack of understanding of the biblical mandate of what it meant for justice. And so real quickly, just for a few minutes, I just want to just share with you the simple fact that God's name means justice. Like, there is no righteousness without justice. One of the names of God that God revealed himself to man is Jehovah Sidkenu. Jehovah Sidkenu, and in different, I suppose, Christian circles, people would interpret that name as the Lord our righteousness. But that's an incomplete thought, The true name is Jehovah Sitkanu, the Lord our righteous judge, because that word Sitkanu, it really comes from this word Sedek, that means that which is right, that which is just. And so that's why it's interpreted a righteous judge. God is our righteous judge. In other words, God's name means God who is just, or for justice. That's important, especially for the younger generation, simply because if the thought process of forgiveness means to turn the other cheek, it frustrates you because there's no sense of justice. I have an understanding of what it means to forgive someone, especially when I know that justice also is a part of the process for healing. Even in the Old Testament, Leviticus 19, verse 15 will tell you, you shall do no injustice in judgment. In fact, it was against the law of God for any person to operate unjustly. Leviticus 19, verse 36, you shall have just balances and just weights and just containers. And what that meant was, even in the marketplace, even when dealing with economics, things should be done in righteousness or in justice. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 20, in terms of how to handle people, it says, justice and only justice you shall pursue. And that's the word God uses, pursue. You're supposed to chase it down. You're supposed to chase down justice. There's no such thing as being an honorable man of God or honorable woman of God if you see something that's wrong and you're not chasing it down to fix it. We're supposed to chase justice. We're supposed to pursue it so that we may live and possess in this land that God has given us. So the truth is, I know I was able to kind of wrap my arms around everything, especially in the midst of, you know, the murder of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and all of these things. And it was my son that kind of sparked this in me. At the time, my son was 13 years old, and my wife and I, we worked so hard to try to raise our kids in an environment and in the community, you know, provide for them things that we didn't have. And the downside to that, the mistake of that, you know, was the fact that they were not raised with an understanding of who they are. They were not raised with an understanding of the rich cultural history of being African Caribbean. They didn't understand African American history or Caribbean history, Jamaican history, Haitian history. And so when all these things happened, my son was confused with my anger, he was confused with my discontent, and I saw him struggling. So what we did for that entire summer, we just started studying African American history. We started studying African history. We started studying Caribbean history, and to create a depth of wealth and knowledge within them. And so I overheard in the last conversation with the youth in terms of the failure of the school systems. And one of the things I'm learning is that I'm not relying on the system. I'm not relying on the system. I'm trying to create a wealth of knowledge within my community. And if I'm going to start within my community, it's got to start in my home, right? And so within my own home, I'm passing down knowledge from generation to generation, just like they did in the old days, whether it was with oral tradition or speaking of the history of who their father was and who their great father was and great great grandfather was. I need to start doing that within my own home. And so since I am a pastor, since I do believe that ultimately gospel transformation in our communities is the answer, I needed to connect the dots of why it's okay, not just okay, I'm sorry, a mandated principle that as believers, as a believer, we're supposed to stand up for justice. It's a mandate. It's a mandate. Matthew chapter 23, Jesus was giving the business to the Pharisees because the Pharisees kept talking about big and how important it was to be holy and how important it was to separate themselves from sinners. And Jesus got on them. Why? Because they were hypocrites. This is what he said. Matthew 23, verse 23, he says, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, for you tithe the mint and the dill and the cumin and have neglected the heavier provisions of the law, which is justice and mercy and faithfulness. But these are the things you should have done without neglecting the others. In other words, before you jump in at how holy you're supposed to be, how can you be holy and neglect justice? How can you be holy and neglect inequality? It's the truth of the matter. You know, even in Proverbs chapter 31, when Solomon is talking about this incredible virtuous woman, Proverbs 31 verse 8 and 9 says, "Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all the unfortunate. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and defend the rights of the afflicted and needy." His mother was telling him to utilize his platform to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. Use your power, use your influence, use your network capabilities to create opportunities for those who don't have the opportunities that you have. This is what it means to be righteous. It's not just about asking God forgiveness for your sins and being a good boy or good girl or good person. The truth of the matter is you cannot be holy without justice. It's important. And so here's a last piece, and I hope I'm making sense to some of you out there. The last piece, and I have to speak this strongly to a lot of my younger brothers, my younger pastors, younger sisters out there, when they saw the injustice, they can feel the inequality. And I think sometimes we don't have an opportunity to speak on this because it's the ideal of America. Right? It's the ideal. When I was younger, I don't know if they do this anymore. When I was younger, going to PS44 and Bed-Stuy, we had to start out the day by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Like we had to do it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's that ideal, like when the definition of something that's ideal, it's a principle that we're aiming for. It's something that a standard that we're pressing towards. And so the standard set by this nation, the standard set by the forefathers of this country was liberty and justice for everybody. And so what happens a couple of years ago when you start to see these atrocities take place against people of color and those who are disadvantaged and disenfranchised, what happens is that the ideals of our nations are now being exposed, examined, and evaluated. And my job as a pastor, my job as a dad, my job as an uncle, my job as a big brother, my job as a person who may have influence over the younger generations to help them evaluate and examine and expose these ideals in a way that matters, in a way that's effective. So obviously I can speak for the anger, I can speak for the discontentment, but I can also speak and let them know that fighting and throwing Molotov cocktails and looting stores may not necessarily be the best way to go about doing it. Why? Because when we stand for justice, we have to stand for justice uprightly. We have to stand for justice uprightly. I salute the memory and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Even every year, I just go through the whole speech over and over again. And there's a piece in that speech where he addresses the idea that with everything that we're going through as a people, we need to make sure that we're not soiled by this hatred. We're not soiled by this bitterness. Three things real quick. Number one, when dealing with injustice, first thing is we need to make sure we have the right spirit. I love it when Jesus is real with his disciples. When he was getting ready near the end of his ministry, he wanted to cut through Samaria to get to Jerusalem. And it's a faster way. But the Samaritan people wouldn't let Jesus come through because he was a Samaritan. He's not one of us. And so because of that, Jesus would have to add hours and days to his journey by going around Samaria to get to Jerusalem. So James and John, right, the disciples, remember, and these are part of Jesus Christ's inner three, they come to Jesus and say, they disrespecting you. They disrespecting you because you're not some, Jesus, do you want us to call down fire and kill all these people? I kid you not, this is in the Bible, Luke chapter 9, verse 51. He says, we can call down fire and just end these people. End these people. And this is what Jesus did. Because the truth is, they're not supposed to disrespect the Son of God. The truth is, I can love the Lord so much that, if anybody gonna mess with me, gonna mess with me, and we're gonna have words and yada, yada. Jesus said this. He turned around and rebuked them and said, you do not know what kind of spirit you are of. You do not know what kind of spirit you are. Just because you may be in the right, how you respond can determine the outcome. It could determine the outcome. You have to make sure you're in the right spirit. I can fight for justice. I need to make sure I fight for it in an upright way. I have to make sure. I have to check my spirit. Jesus said the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And so I have to be careful that to make sure that the bitterness that was shown towards me doesn't come in me and I start showing that same bitterness. In Romans chapter 12, it tells you, guess what? Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. I couldn't stand this because I felt like, yo, they're going to get away with it. I can't take this anymore. But then when you read what the word of God says, no one gets away with it. In verse 17 of Romans chapter 12, it says, never pay back evil for evil to anyone. Respect what is right in the sight of men, and if possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with everybody. And goes, never take revenge. Beloved, leave room for the wrath of God, because it's written, vengeance is mine, I will repay. See, every time I take vengeance, I'm taking something that belongs to God. I have to make sure I do this in the right spirit. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. He will repay. He'll do the payback. I don't have to do it. God will do it. And so I'm able to draw back and say, okay, Lord, no one is going to get away with anything. I can concentrate on still fighting for justice, but doing it in the right way. Verse 21 says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. In other words, don't let the sin against you produce sin in you. Don't let the sin against you produce sin in you. People want to quote Martin Luther King, but people don't want to live like Martin Luther King. Not even saying that he's a perfect brother. God, no, nobody's perfect. And I'm sure it's already documented that Brother King had faults. However, when it comes to his strategy of working for change, don't let the sin against you produce sin in you. Here's the last piece, and then I'll just close. Make sure you keep your enemy at a disadvantage. Make sure you keep your enemy at a disadvantage. If there's anything that I'm working hard for, and I'd love to connect with some individuals who are doing some grassroots movements and creating opportunities within their community, because the thing is, we have to change our strategy within the 21st century. The SLCC and the civil rights movement of the 60s, they were cutting edge based on what they were doing because it was the 60s. But sometimes I feel that things are stale and things are a little confused and discombobulated because we're trying to use a 1960 model for a 21st century issue. Racism is no longer as blatant as it used to be. Right? There's a new way of handling that. There's a new way of presenting inequality. There's a new way of creating injustice. And because of that, strategies should evolve as well. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 10 and 11, Paul says this, and this is where I'll close. In dealing with the concept of forgiveness, he wants to create consistency. He says, but one whom you forgive anything, I will forgive also. For indeed, what I have forgiven, if I've forgiven anything, I did it for your sakes in the presence of Christ. In other words, if you're going to be a part of this strategy, I'm going to be a part of this strategy. If this is the direction we're moving in, I'm moving in. We're going to be moving in this direction. I can't say I'm down for this and then all of a sudden not be down for this. So just in essence, I can't be for justice based on color, but then treat women in a horrible way. I can't be for equality and be against police brutality, and yet then I'm still going to be doing things within my community that's going to bring the entire community down. There needs to be consistency. Consistency will impact our effectiveness and our efficiency. Paul says, I'm doing this so that no advantage would be taken of us by Satan, for we're not ignorant of his schemes. We can't be ignorant of his schemes. And I'm learning about that. Education is important. Financial empowerment is important. The state of the family and the family unit is important. Reinforcing strong belief systems that produce positive outcomes is important. And having a structure of what leadership and authority looks like. All of these things are important, and it requires what? Consistency. I love the sister kept talking about the power of audacity, and what makes the beauty of audacity even more empowering is when someone who has the audacity for change steps out, that they have an entire community backing them because of consistency. consistency. One of the things I speak to my young men and women, I'm saying, yo, you can't say the N-word and then try to have a conversation about why the N-word is bad, because that lacks consistency. It destroys your argument. It destroys your ability to even communicate effectively, because with your own communication, you're being inconsistent, right? I can't speak hard for the equality of everyone and treating everyone with kindness and then still treat them in a certain way because I'm chilling in this entertainment. There needs to be consistency. Why? Because it keeps our enemy at a disadvantage. So real quickly, let me just go over those 3 points again. When we're dealing with the concept of injustice, man, justice is a part of God's name. He is the God who is just, or the righteous judge. And in doing so, we have a mandate to stand for justice, but we also have a mandate to stand for justice in an upright way. God bless you. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you. You guys have been awesome, and may everything go well.
Man, Pastor Christopher Delmage, give it up, everybody. Give it up.
Bless you.
Give it up, man. Pastor Chris, we appreciate you. We appreciate you coming and sharing on this HAC platform. You bringing back words of inspiration vibes. You know, HAC had a program last year. We did words of inspiration on Sunday mornings for people who couldn't get back to church. So like, we're really excited. You brought a lot of that out. And I know there's a lot of people who really appreciate it. We got a lot of people in the comments and the chats, clapping and showing love and doing all this amazing, beautiful things. So, Pastor Chris, we thank you. We appreciate you. We're taking your words, and thank you for closing out our MLK Day. Thank you so much, Pastor Chris. We really appreciate you. We're gonna bring back Barbara from M&M Angels and Chauncey from Ede Youth, as they have a few giveaways that they want to talk about and some information for everybody. Barbara, Chauncey, take it away.
You guys are quick. They just bring you right on in.
That's right. I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness. Thank God I was ready. Okay, awesome. Right? Chance, you want to start, or do you want me to start?
No, please.
All right. So we just want to say again, this was an amazing, amazing, amazing event. And we thank all the speakers, the panelists, the moderators. It was an amazing, amazing event. I was super duper nervous, but as I was watching this, I got just so motivated and encouraged. So part of this beautiful event is that we're ending it off with giveaways sponsored by Ede Youth and M&M Angels Inc. So how this is going to work is there's the comment section. We have Miss Betty from Ede Youth, who is supervising the comment section to see who answers the question first and correctly, and that person would be the winner. Okay, so that's how we're doing it. The first person to comment the correct answer will win a prize. So the prizes today are 2 hoodies, one from M&M Angels Inc. The other one is from Ede Youth. And also, we might get a little bit more generous, but for now, we're going to be giving out $25 gift cards. So we're going to start off with the first question, okay? Get ready, get your fingers ready to type, because this is the question. So the first person to answer in the comment section with the correct answer is the winner. What is, and if you don't get this, I don't know what else to say. What is the hashtag word that we have been using in the youth segment all morning? So Chance, you're going to look at it and you guys are going to let me know, because I can't see what Betty is doing. Who is the first person to put a comment in? What is the hashtag that we have been using all morning in the youth segment? Who's the first person to answer correctly? I think are you on mute? I think you're muted.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yes.
Do we have a winner?
Yes, it came through through YouTube.
Okay, who is it?
Mark Francois.
Woo! Congratulations, Mark Francois. You have won an M&M Angels hoodie.
Whoa! Mark Francois can't win.
Wait, what just happened?
Something.
Mark Francois is HAC staff, man.
Oh,
Mark Francois is gonna donate that to another youth. Let's go.
Okay, so does Sam want us to pick someone else, or is Francois? How do you want
Give
us
it
to do
to Mark? Give it to Mark Francois, and he'll donate it to a youth.
Okay, gotcha. Mark,
All
make
right.
sure you send us your well, we'll send you just a basic size, a large, and then if you know the person that you're going to give it to and you want us to change the size, that's amazing. Second question is also coming from the youth segment. What is the name of the organization that Dominique DuPont is affiliated with? What is the name of the organization that Dominique DuPont, Michael K. Williams, the late great Michael K. Williams' nephew, is affiliated with? Who's the first one, Chance? Let's go.
Ooh, okay, I'm watching.
And it's some people get it confused, and I'm giving out clues here.
I know you are.
Okay.
You definitely are.
Let's see. This is for a $25 gift card.
Let's see. I don't see it yet.
All right. You want me to ask the question again?
Oh, somebody came in. Oh, I don't know. This is
Oh, come on, Naomi.
No. Sammy.
All right, I'm out.
You too hot. What was it? Who answered it?
Naomi Pierre Bellamy.
Oh my goodness. No, she cannot. Did she put the correct answer?
She did.
Okay, so Naomi, you are okay. So we do this on the Mommy and Momo Show Live. Those of you who are part of the organization that helped out today, please do not participate. This is for our viewers. Okay, I'm gonna ask another question. Thank God I wrote an extra one down. Okay, this one is just a general question about Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay, what year did the dreams I Have a Dream speech come about? I Have a Dream. What year was that speech made? What year? I should be getting on my phone too. What year? What year did Dr. Martin Luther King formulate the I Have a Dream speech? Look at everybody Googling right now because it's coming up. Anyone commented?
Oh my goodness. Not yet.
I Have a Dream, originally published when? What year? No one?
Nope, not yet.
I wish we had some music or something.
I know.
Da, 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 da.
Okay, let's see. Still nothing.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness. Maybe I should ask another question. Google works. Guys. No? Okay. So we're going to ask another question. We're going to move on to another question.
Okay.
Name one of the organizations that HAC partnered with to formulate this event today. Name one organization that HAC partnered with today so we can have this amazing event. I wish we had some music.
No. Next time.
I know, right? Did you just put something on?
Yes, ready.
Yes, John, you get it.
All right. We have a winner.
We have a winner.
Lift. That's right.
Lift. Okay, so we have 2 winners so far. Amazing. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna put So what you're gonna do is you're gonna definitely send us a message to HAC or to any of this or Ede Youth or M&M Angels where we could definitely make sure you retrieve your gift card for $25. Chance, do you have any questions?
I do. I have 2 questions.
Awesome.
Yes. Hopefully they're easy questions. I tried to make them simple.
I tried. They didn't even Google it.
I'm trying to do some service,
Okay.
So the first question is, so we know that one of the things that Dr. King did is he petitioned and lobbied elected officials, those people who were at the table that made decisions. So today we had at least 2 elected officials on our call. Can you name one of them?
It's the music for me. Let's give it up to Elisha Pierre, who is holding it down behind the scenes as well with the
yes, he is.
tech savviness. I love it.
So we have the same person. Well, John
It
Leguer.
can't. No, wait. John, no.
Right.
Only one.
Right.
John,
right.
you know you cannot use the same coupon in the store multiple times. One coupon per person.
Oh man. Well, since John named one, can anybody name the other?
Just repeat the question just one more time. Make sure we got it.
There were 2 elected officials on our session today. Name one. So John Leguer named one already. So we know he already won. So if someone can name the other.
And the music comes on.
No one yet.
No one yet?
No one yet. All right. I'll give you a hint. I'll put a hint out there. It starts with senator.
Ooh. Anybody.
Anybody.
No?
Nope, no one. Let me just make sure. Let me see. Okay, so Haitian American Caucus answered Senator Kevin Parker. But we can't do that.
Joanne, get off. We know it's you.
Oh. Okay, I have another question.
Okay.
The other one is, during the men's panel, they discussed a word that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King fought for. What was it? It starts with the letter V. It's a 4-letter word.
I hear your son. Is he saying I know?
He does. He is saying he knows.
Oh my God. Come on, guys. This is for a hoodie from Ede Youth.
Mr. Saint Pierre has written. Oh my goodness.
What did he write?
These are hack members. They said the word is vote.
It's up to you, Ede Youth, how you want to do it. I gave away prizes already.
Yes. So we have.
Wait. Somebody said, who's this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that's the winner.
All right, Regina.
All right. So you got to make sure we write down their information and they send us their contact info.
Yes.
For the hoodie.
I'm writing it down now. Regina A.
Okay. And for your last question. Do you have any other questions, or you want me to ask the question?
Sure. Can anyone name at least one youth that spoke today?
Oh, come on, guys. If they don't get this.
This is a giveaway on top of a giveaway.
And this is when Shasha comes with the music.
It's Betty sliding in with the,
Oh.
Hold on. There we go.
Are any of our youth still on?
No. Okay, so we have, let me see. So we have a couple of names in the box, but one has already won a prize.
No, so that person we can't use them.
Okay. So then All
Oh,
right.
we have,
We have Mr. Denson, who said
yes.
Imani Williams.
Yay!
Yes.
Woo! Now, you know that is an impactful youth because he remembered her first and last
And
name.
last name. You understand? Yes,
Awesome. So
indeed.
they won $25 gift card. Are you still feeling generous or is it me?
I'm still feeling generous.
I'm still feeling generous.
Yeah.
So I think this one will be for the bonus. We're going to do this one. This person is going to get a $50 gift card, and that's going to be the final question.
Okay. All right.
This is the big one.
Oh man.
The big one. You want to come up with this question, or you want me to come up with it?
Man. No, you can come up with it.
You want me to come up with it? Okay.
Yes, please.
What age
Uh-oh.
did Dr. Martin Luther King become an ordained minister, and what was the name of the church? So it's two questions: the age and the name of the church. For $50 gift card. If you already participated, you cannot participate. Okay, so this is for a $50 gift card for who can answer the question of what age did Dr. Martin Luther King become an ordained minister, and the name of the church. And the music. I like the music. You guys are checking the comment section?
Yes, I'm looking.
Awesome.
Let's see here. Nothing yet.
Oh, for $50? I'll
For
answer the question.
$50.
You want me to repeat the question?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so I'll repeat the question again.
Okay.
So for a $50 gift card, the question is, at what age did Dr. Martin Luther King become an ordained minister, and the name of the church? We did mention it during the youth segment. The age and the name of the church that he became an ordained minister.
Okay.
Google. Google. It's $50.
Oh, man. Not yet.
Let's see.
Shasha has asked, can I participate in that?
Shasha, no, you cannot participate and donate at the same time. This is for $50. And if it doesn't, then it will go to Hack to continue to do the work that they do. Or they can donate it to one of their youth. So we're going to time it down to 30 seconds. Do we have anyone that want to take a chance at it? What are you reading?
I'm reading what Sam, Mr. Sam Pierre is writing. He's definitely putting the answers in. Him and Mr. Marc Francois.
The age and the church. That's it.
Yes.
Dr. Martin Luther King. The age and the church. I think we have about 20 seconds.
Mark, and the comments are lighting up both on Facebook and on YouTube.
Does anyone have it?
Yes, but they're both people from Hack, and one has won a prize. So the encouragement is, hey, copy and paste.
Oh my goodness. And don't be shy, guys. Like, do not be shy. Do not be shy.
Indeed.
Receiving a prize is an amazing thing. No?
No,
10.
nothing yet.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5. No?
No.
All right. So it will be donated to Hack. And we will donate this to Hack for all the amazing work that they're doing. And this is from Ede Youth and M&M Angels, Inc. So we definitely want to say thank you to everyone who participated and to all of our winners. Congratulations. Sam,
Yes.
you want to come on? Because I know you're hot to come on.
He was answering everything in the comments. He's got all the answers. Good job.
Well,
Well,
congratulations. We're going to send you a $50 gift card.
thank
so
you
can
because
donate it to one of your youth.
Yes.
thank you because I'm a student of Dr. Martin Luther King. So apologies if I got a little excited in the comments section. Talk
Awesome.
about everything that he did. But John said it's not fair. It's not fair. Dans l'école, dans l'étudier.
And it's about having the audacity, right, to go and find the answer, guys.
Yes,
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. That's right. So it isn't fair because John couldn't get more than one, but John, you already used your coupon already.
Yeah. He's the worst at the supermarket. He's the one that holds the line at the supermarket. He's the one.
Well, we just want to thank you, Chency from Ede Youth, and Betty. Thank you so much for being a partner.
Yes.
For being for being a value partner here at HAC. Yes. Thank you, Barbara, for M&M Angels for being a value partner as well. We love all the work that you guys are doing. We look forward to doing more with you this year. And just thank you for participating. We appreciate you. Everybody give it up for Ede Youth and M&M Angels. Give them a huge shout out. Shout out, shout out. Thank you so much. And as we close out today's MLK event, I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated, who came out, who gave us your time on this Monday to talk about the important work that Dr. King did for our community. And I remember I started off by saying, does the Haitian community, do we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Day? And the answer is yes, we do. We celebrate Dr. King. We know that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the right to vote. We wouldn't be able to do the different things that we do and have the access to do what we need to do and be where we are today. So we want to thank Dr. King and his audacity of hope to be able to take it to the next level. Without Dr. King, there's no Barack Obama. Without Barack Obama, there's no Sam Pierre. Without Sam Pierre, God knows there's tons of other people, generations behind us that won't be able to do that work. So we come today to celebrate Dr. King and his great work. Again, my name is Sam Pierre, and we are here at the Haitian American Caucus. HAC is a community development nonprofit organization. What does that mean? We're here to develop our community. We want our communities and our partnering communities to do better, right? Our Haitian community for a very long time, the excuse was we didn't have access. We didn't have a seat at the table. We have a seat now. We have elected officials. We have experts in healthcare, experts in business and finance. We have experts in education, right? We have people positioned in the right places to do the right things for our community. And being a part of HAC, we want you to get access to this information so that you can foster self-development. That's what our mission is all about. That's what our mission is all about. We want to give you access to information and resources so you can foster self-development and success. All our campaigns this year will talk about that. Access, access, access. If we give you the access that you need, you can go and make great decisions for you and your family. Once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for celebrating the King today with the Haitian American Caucus. Once again, we want to thank our sponsor, Lyft, for giving us the Lyft codes for anybody who wants to volunteer. Again, email us at info@hacus.org to become a member of the Haitian American Caucus. Please, top of the screen right here, go to hacglobal.org/join, click the join button, become a member today, and make a difference. Thank you so much. You guys have a phenomenal MLK Day.
Every life has worth beyond measure.
We think each person is a flood of potential,
waiting to be unleashed.
What if every child,
every woman,
and every man was able to imagine something new,
full of hope,
new dreams, and the ability to choose their own future? A new way of seeing the world,
the community,
themselves.
Pushing past the obstacles that once were. And when the world yells, You cannot.
We will keep whispering, yes, you can. Together we can make a difference.
Together we are stronger.
Able to move mountains and break the chains of poverty.
Haitian American Caucus, strengthening Haiti through
education, health,
feeding programs,
micro enterprise.
We are Haiti.
We are HAC.